when did you get engaged?
May 1st of last year.
Okay.
May
And
Day.
were you Sergeant Surprised? Or was it all Joe Strobl? And she was like, "Oh my god!" Or,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was pretty surprising.
That's cool. Where'd you do it?
At our house.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a family heirloom
Oh, boy.
diamond, and so we ended up making a ring with that. But
Nice.
yeah.
So my eyesight is garbage, and like I got these 2 years ago, first pair, and it was probably 3, 4, 5 years past due, and I just only wore them for like watching TV or driving at night. But I need them badly, a lot of this, but I can't like look at my phone or a screen because anyway. So every time I look at the camera, I can't see I can kind of see the screen part, but I can't focus on the lens. So whenever I'm editing and I see myself I'm not looking in the right place. I look like an idiot. So I was like, I need to bring my glasses down there and see what it looks like. And yeah, it's a notable difference. It's fucking old and stubborn. Chapter 47 here.
Yeah. Can't wait.
So who are you hanging out with these days?
Man, we pretty much, we kept it pretty low key throughout everything. But,
Okay.
we've still got our same posse and everything.
Right on.
We just don't get together as much anymore. And then being out of the neighborhood,
Yeah.
I'm not, getting together as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
But,
Nothing like having some cold ones and driving back into the heart of the joke.
I know.
Like,
There's no good way to get to my new house.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think there's any good way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And if that's the hand you're holding, a buddy had some people over last summer, and my boy had a soccer game, and got him home and showered, and then so they started hanging out at like 6. And I didn't get there till like 8:30, but I like made a drink when I got home, and then poured a roadie, and I hit like 95th and Lee, and I was like, I'm driving right in the heart of the beast. Like, this is fucking.
Maybe the roadie wasn't the best idea.
So I'm like trying to,
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for
you're
doing
welcome.
this. This is great. And this is we Tiff did episode 15. So this is episode 16,
Was
Badass
that throwing
Records.
copper? Did that make the cut? I'll wait and see.
I mean, like, you know her well.
That was just one that I always picked up on. I was like, man, that's so random. And I had that cassette. Like,
Yeah.
It was,
So she gave me a 4-spot. And it was many texts and just as many like gaps of no texts, like to the point where I wouldn't say, and she'd be like, I'm still working on my list of songs. And I'm like, why are you making a list of songs? That is not the ask. She's like, but I'm like, fine, whatever. And I was like, that's going to be in there. And a one by this particular artist is going to be in there. And she's like, stop. And then she hit me with her 4. I'm like, she's like, I couldn't. So when she like, what's your sibling situation? Your brother?
I've just got one older brother.
Older, okay.
Yeah.
So we have 3 years between us, and I had this beater of a brown Corolla, and it but I tried to like make it cool in its own. Like I had a tiny pair of like black Nike high top shoes hanging from the rear, and like the back windshield was perfectly stickered. And then she winds up getting this Mazda 626, I want to say, as her first car. And she by this time she's got like a fat Case Logic, and she did her own version of stickering, and I believe there was a Cat in the Hat. And like, kind of, I feel like it was she swears it was like legit, but I think it was a knockoff fish sticker. And then this huge live sticker across and I was like, yo. And she's like, I don't care. I
Yeah.
love it. I was like, all right, man. So when I revisited that, I think it was the first or second track, and I was like, oh, this is the one I know.
Yeah.
And then I said that like 6 more
Yeah.
times. I was like, God damn.
That album had hits.
Like,
Like,
whoa,
that
okay.
was one thing some 90s records had. Was like
Yeah.
they would keep on the radio, would give them like chance after chance
Yeah.
after chance.
But anyway, that was one of my buddies was like, is that going to be weird to interview family? I was like, I don't know. I'll tell you. Yeah. But I know what I won't have is a lot of bio questions because I got that shit down. So Joe Strobl, episode 16. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Born and raised KC.
Yeah.
St. Peter's.
Yep.
K through 8.
No.
Okay.
3rd through 8.
Okay.
Yeah, we started out at went to Hartman and Hale Cook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, went to ECLC at St. Peter's.
Okay.
So had like a little group of people that I knew from there. I mean, as many people as you can like remember when you're in preschool.
Yeah.
So,
Shit.
But yeah, we went to public schools for a couple years, and then
Hale Cook is for me. You know, when you're getting this, it's like one detail to summarize a place is like all the bandwidth. So Hale Cook to me is the school that has like the perfect teach a kid how to ride his or her bike without training wheels parking lot.
Yeah.
Like that's where we go for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's every time I meet somebody that went to it, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There's students in there? Oh man. Okay, so and then did you go to Rockhurst?
I went to Miege.
Miege, how was that?
It was good.
Okay.
It was good. Yeah. Like say, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, a lot. My brother, had gone there. He was,
He carved the path.
Okay. I was just swimming in his
Where were you?
wake there.
Where were you living? Where were your folks when you were in 8th grade?
2 blocks away from here.
Okay.
So we were just like 66 Terrace in Kenwood.
Oh,
Like right
okay.
where, yeah.
Have you been here before?
Just that one time when Jessica was watching Badassery.
Oh, that's right. So what do you I mean, because this past week has been, I'm sure you've just that social media is just flooded with like 8th grade and senior graduate,
Yeah.
and it's fascinating. Like my Adeline's finally old enough to where like I can see 8th grade on her, like it's coming.
Yeah.
And without really giving it much thought, Anna and I have always just kind of been like, well, St. Teresa's and Rockhurst. And now that hasn't really changed too much, but like certainly entertaining Miege and maybe even Barstow for him. I mean, what do you remember what it was like for you?
Yeah.
Like, were your parents like, choice is yours, or were they trying to?
Pretty much. I mean, there wasn't many public schools in the area. I mean, I don't even know. I mean,
what's your high school graduation year?
high school was 01.
01.
Yeah.
Fuck. So I mean, city KC Mo shit has been unaccredited for 25, 30 years now.
Yeah. So I mean, pretty much knew that was gonna. I mean, Hogan was trying to get trying to get St. Peter's kids to go, but it was nice. I mean, we had a group of the Missouri kids that went off to Miege.
Sure.
I mean, we're still
Did you like give it a whole bunch of? Were you kicking around for a long time, or you're like that's just where?
Yeah.
Okay. And why? I guess with your older brother, but I mean, you had buddies, I'm sure, that went to Rockhurst, and did it seem like they enjoyed it just as much as you were enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, I would hang out with them. I mean, like there's a few Peter's kids that we like hung out with all the way through. I mean,
nice.
Yeah.
And mom and dad are still around?
Yeah.
And are they still together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
You're and they're your bio parents.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you, by the way, I almost always forget to ask to sign the wall. You got to help me remember. But I can't tell you how many folks I've sat down with and they're like, oh, well, my bio dad is, I don't even know who that. I'm like, what? Or, me and my sibling were adopted and but from different sets of bio families, and I mean, like you're kind of a unicorn.
Yeah, we exist. Yeah. We're out there.
And so the last person that said yes to that, I was like, does it seem like they still enjoy each other's company, or are they trying to just get through it? Or
I mean, they're coming up on 50 years.
Wow.
I mean, I'm blanking on the exact number
Sure.
or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, we went through a lot as a family or whatnot.
Okay.
And then that brought us all pretty close and everything. And I mean, there wasn't. I mean, after it really never. There wasn't much like conflict around, like they just
across childhood.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I never really saw that between the two of them or whatnot. My brother and I were
like
the main act.
You're like a striped unicorn.
Yeah, and I'm sure
the two of you were fighting. Like,
I outgrew him when I was probably about like 7th or 8th grade. So
damn,
the fights evened out after that.
But, okay. Yeah. Did you? Would you guys?
No. I mean, no. I mean, we never came. Yeah, and it never came to blows or anything. Yeah.
The dude that was on before Tiff, we went to. We had club level seats for a Chiefs Broncos game, and it was under Herm, and Tony had, like, everybody knew the season was like, I mean, it wasn't cold yet, but it was, I think, probably already looking bleak. And Tony, like, we knew maybe the trade dead. I don't know. Somehow we knew that the chances for Tony to get like the all-time yards, or like few chances left, and that day, whoever was calling the plays like wasn't targeting him. I mean, and there was a lot of booze. But we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like, these two dudes, and we're, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 rows back. These two dudes in Chiefs jerseys are standing, facing that way and hollering and pointing. And we look, and they're like two of, Raytown's finest white boys, and the people that are hollering at are not.
Yeah, straight from Redondo Beach.
They're a couple of black dudes, and they're wearing Broncos jerseys, and all of a sudden, these guys, like, they just dove. Yeah. I mean, I felt like they covered 14 rows in like a half a second, and the next thing, everybody was just landing blow after blow after blow. And I had 3 buddies, and we were just like, oh my God, like terrified. Because, I mean, club level, like, you go over that ledge.
Yeah. Oh,
that's see ya. Yeah. I mean, and they were just, and this dude reminded me that he remembers seeing a cop show up, and he's like, no. Like, I'm waiting for, but like, I'm not getting in, like, holy shit, dude. But that just, I mean, like, I don't know that I've ever known anybody who, like, was a dude and had a brother, and they would like kick the shit out of each other. Yeah. But I'm sure there's a lot of those people out there.
Oh yeah.
Fucking showing up to school with black eye and cut forehead. Yeah. No, just the usual. Yeah. Usual Saturday. So what's the age difference between you and your brother?
We're 20 months. So
damn. Okay. And were mom or dad playing music in the house when you guys were?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
we
were
had
they
the
rocking?
Record player.
Yeah.
Some CCR.
Okay.
Yeah. Love Creedence. Like, I still remember that Christmas, like, when my brother got a CD player for the first time.
Ooh.
Like the Sony, like, top loading,
yeah.
CD player. And I guess that she asked some of my older cousins, like, what, CD to get him. So she got him a Garth Brooks.
Your mom?
My mom.
Did a little legwork?
Yeah.
Nice.
Got him some Garth Brooks.
And was the Garth Brooks spot on, or?
Yeah. I mean, I love Garth.
It's a CD.
Yeah. Hey, it worked.
It was Low Places at least on it?
I don't think so. I think it was early.
Okay.
Yeah. But, and then Dad got him CCRs, like 20 greatest hits. I literally, if the print is still legible on my
cassette version of that, I would be surprised. And I also listen to it so much that now I can't, like, I hear Creedence and I'm like, no, something like, just, that's what I'm saying. You said, and I, I could do the whole.
Just want to hit the ceiling.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Some Garth and then how far after his did you get your own system?
I was a tape holdout.
Okay. Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like the portability of the Walkman. It's not skipping at all.
Right.
So that was nice. It was mobile. And then so I'd bring the briefcase of tapes with me to where I was going. So I like living in Durango, going to school down there. The Southwest Sounds was the place, and go in there and the new, I don't know, more Chiba is out, and like Hal, the owner, can see me, like, he just fucking knows he's 2 minutes away from a special order. Like, but I thought, for the longest time, that the Discman with the cord to the cassette. Yeah.
I was like, that's gonna cover us. That's all we need, Anyway, I finally had to cave. But so you started with the cassette?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were you getting your hands on?
I mean, a little bit of everything. I mean, I was, definitely doing the alternative was just like and like the early 90s, and, started listening to some hip hop and rap and whatnot. And then, that was, the majority of it, that was kind of like stuck in those two lanes for the most part.
Sure.
Yeah.
So are you a vinyl guy now?
I am.
Okay.
I made a deal, like, I was not going to start buying vinyl until I was like settled.
Okay.
And like because moving vinyl is just the worst. Like, I moved.
Everybody that has come on here has been like, vinyl doesn't. They'd love it. They do it. They buy it. Vinyl doesn't have a lot going for it. To be honest with you, that shit is heavy. The list keeps growing.
Yeah.
So how deep are you?
I'm good. I'm still like in the couple hundred, records right now.
That's a chunk.
It's a chunk.
How often do you all in person, or do you order?
I go in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
There's a few different spots that I like. Half Price is nice just to go through. Vinyl Renaissance.
Okay.
That's Incarnations over there in Overland Park.
Okay.
There's one spot over there on Westport Road that's just doing new vinyl.
Okay.
Of course, I can't think of the name of it right now, but their selection's really, really good.
You said you miss. I cut you. You were about to say I miss something, and I cut you off.
Oh.
When I said
Miss Street Side Records.
Oh yeah.
That was like it went from like Street Side Records, like either the Westport or the one on Metcalf, and then and then a lot of time at like Borders Books.
Yeah.
Like, I would just go and like hang out at Borders Books for read magazines,
nice.
And then like shop for music, and then eventually buy something.
So cassette holdout, fairly new vinyl collector, and guy who has always been associated with the phrase "trust the playlist."
Yeah,
right.
Have faith in the mix.
Have faith in the mix. That's what it is.
Mix,
okay.
Yeah.
I accidentally injected some Dayton Moore Royals and
trust
have faith in the mix.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And how did that come to be?
Oh gosh, listening to people complain about my playlists.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like what?
So, and not even playlists, like burn CDs, back in the day. Like we'd be like on the river.
Oh, like you brought it and you're playing, you're running the tunes.
Yeah, I'm running the tunes.
They're
griping. Like, what is this? Yeah, and I'm like, have faith in the mix. Like something's coming up.
Right.
Like, like it'll happen.
That's
like,
funny.
It might not. And so, so then, you say it a few thousand times.
Yeah.
You'll start hearing your friends like just
nice
bring it up in conversation from there on out.
How long have you been making digital playlists?
Pretty much since I got my first iPod.
Okay.
That was the
light
moment.
bulb. Yeah.
It was like I remember like we were going out to a friend's like farmhouse up in St. Joe, and was riding with a buddy that hadn't seen for a while, but he had an iPod, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, and I'm like, so there's just like, what's on it? And he's like, well, what do you want? I'm like, well, I want to hear, like Presidents of the United States of America, like Peaches, and I want to hear it now. He's like,
wow.
Well, check. And like, sure enough, he had it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, I was at
That's awesome.
I was at Micro Center later that week and, made that purchase.
So I find like, are you a Wu-Tang guy at all?
Yeah.
Like I'm new-ish to that. And like I've owned 36 Chambers on cassette for years, but I've just never really, and I think that it's like I'm a little intimidated. Like I'm way behind everybody else, and there's so many like people and side like to learn that I feel ashamed. And I have a similar anxiety when it comes to the idea, because I don't really do it, of making a playlist. I've made very few. But to have like a really nice collection of songs that, I mean, the order is so important.
That's where it's just shuffle.
Okay.
Sometimes, somebody will be like, give me a playlist. And, like 150 songs later, like, here you go. Like,
yeah.
It's like, that's just, and that's where, coming back to having faith in the mix.
Right. But I'm so like this Saturday, I imagine your folks participated in the auction back in St. Peter's.
We weren't big auction goers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, even if you don't go, everybody's every family's supposed to donate something of value of $75 or greater, whether you go or anyway. So where I always get pulled in on that is somebody asks me to cook for a progressive dinner. So I've done those like, I don't know, fucking 5 or 6 years. And it's this Saturday. Okay. And my next door neighbors have kind of co-hosted with me the last year or two. And so when it came up, and they've got like nice open space, and they have like a design company. So like making things look nice is her wheelhouse. Yeah. So I was like, you want to have it at your place? She's like, yes. I was like, thank God, anyway. So if you are, I don't know how many people, there's a max number of families that can buy it.
Yeah.
Because it's part of like the silent auction. But there's like several appetizer houses, and then there's several main course houses, and like we're a main course house, and so 12 couples, 12 people, one of the two. And then everybody goes to one dessert house, and it's like a ton of people, and everybody's nice and toasty by then. And I remember like it might have been the first one that I went to with them. We got there, and I like remember, and they have a nice outdoor area. So it was nice enough that people were in and out. And I remember getting out and like knowing the song. They had outdoor speakers, and I was like, oh, I dig that tune. And then I dug the next tune, and then like 11 songs later, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And somebody introduced me to the wife, and she was like, this is my husband, he might have been somewhere else, but she was like, he's going to absolutely like do jumping jacks when he finds out that somebody complimented his playlist. Yeah. I'm like, how long is it? And she was like, I don't know how long it is. I can tell you how long he's been working on it though. And I was like, I fucking bet.
Yeah.
Because if you want it to be the shit, well, anyway. So you'll make one and then shuffle also.
Yeah, burning CDs back in the day was more about building the flow and then going back and forth or
because you didn't have the option.
Yeah,
I guess you could skip tracks.
Yeah, but I don't know. That was a weird button on the. It's like just give me my triangle play. Like right, that's all we need. Right? Like. Yeah,
oh man,
that reminds me. You brought up Wu-Tang. So for my high school graduation, was it high school? Yeah, high school graduation. My brother's gift to me was he got me a case of Altoids, Bible, and Old Dirty Bastard Return to the 36 Chambers.
What kind of combination is that?
It was, like a
case
of
Altoids?
like a case, like
six packs,
or 12 packs or whatever,
So you're trying to?
I was all about my breath mints back then.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. He wasn't trying to deliver a message.
Yeah. But we're sitting there at my grandparents' house, and my grandma was like, "Oh, we just got a new hi-fi system. Like, play your how about you play your new?" Yeah, I was like,
"Dirty old man."
Yeah, I was like, let's not because the intro to the song is like talking about him getting gonorrhea. So it's like let's not we'll put this one,
right.
I'm sure you've got a record back there.
Does your brother listen to?
So it was funny because he was late. He was a late driver. He didn't drive till he got to college.
Okay.
So his junior and senior year, I was driving him, and so when I was driving him, I was providing the playlist.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was just the Case Logic.
Okay. Sure.
And we listened to a lot of Wu-Tang, a lot of DMX.
Oh, so he was aware of what he was giving you.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
or it was my music. Yeah.
But has he been like a spiritual dude his whole life, or?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, but so that those streams can cross and it's not an issue for
him. I don't know how much if he still listens to Big Baby Jesus, I doubt it,
right.
Or one of, Old Dirty's,
sure.
like Dirt McGirt or whatever, any of his number of aliases. I doubt that, that's ending up in his, algorithm right now, but...
God, I wish I could quote I think it was a Chappelle Show skit where ODB was like saying something and signing off, or somebody was talking about him, and they were like, if you can't reach him at that, it's Dirt McGirt, and if you can't reach him at that, it's like that line in Swingers where the dude's depressed about the breakup and the buddy's leaving the message on the machine. He's like, so come on over to Tommy's. If we're not there, we'll be at Harpo's. If we're not there, we're at the Brooksider. If we're not there, try Hooper's,
Yeah.
But who in that skit, they're listing all these names.
Oh, yeah.
What in the hell? Shows. The last time we talked about shows, you were sharing an anecdote about somebody that was hitting you up for Nathaniel Rateliff tickets, and you're like, sure, man, it's been sold out for 6 months, and you're hitting me up 2 days ahead of time. And it was like, so are you still a show seer?
Yeah.
You have been historically, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just a happy place,
Right.
Like there's nothing better. I still think, my favorite thing to do is just like the festival, like schedule or whatnot. And like knowing that you got like zero responsibilities and you're just like, all right, we're going to go from here to here to here. All right, it's going to be tough to make it over here before we get to there.
Right.
But, it's just great to have everything back up and rolling, just...
What, have you seen anything recently, or?
What was the last... I'm trying to think. We went to Red Rocks for the first time last year.
You and the lady?
Yeah,
okay.
And Kelly. So
who'd you see?
We went to 3 shows when we were out there. So we did back-to-back nights with Reggae on the Rocks.
Oh wow,
and
that's been going on for a fucking minute.
And that was Third World was by far the highlight of that show. Do
you have a lot of reggae in your repertoire right now that gets?
Yeah, everybody gets I think you just issued a copy of Legend,
Yeah.
If you listen to music for a while, you just get that, and then it's just kind of like, all right, well.
Which, I've had veins in my life where I'm like very anti greatest hits while owning, but that's got to be the king of the greatest hits.
It ends on the list, he didn't have that big of a catalog, so you can like go back and listen to
he had like 10 or 11 records, right?
Yeah.
If you count the first one was, I think that's the only one where the Wailers were listed.
Yeah,
and
Catch a Fire.
Yeah. So right, okay.
Yeah, we did that, and then back to back with Nathaniel Rateliff.
Okay, so you've seen him a few times.
Yeah, I've seen him a few times. He came through the Midland, I think, the first time we saw him.
Okay.
It was him and Leon Bridges on the bill.
Man.
Badass show. Yeah, that was a great one. And then, a few times at the Crossroads. And then, that was hit the first. He did 3 nights at Red Rock. So, like.
All sold out.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Rockin'.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. That place wears you out, though.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't ready for it, and then like I say, back-to-back shows, so like drank a little bit on the Sunday night into the Monday show, and I was just dragging.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh man.
I was like, man, I would have played this a little bit different, like had I like knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we did it right, and then we later on we saw the Black Crowes.
Man.
Yeah.
So
it was a good vacation.
Is Chris Robinson still in that?
Him and Rich, yeah, still trucking.
So the Brotherhood is not a thing anymore, or it's a side project.
So they did that Shake the Moneymaker they did the, I think it was 30-year anniversary.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So from 91, yeah. So So they got back touring together on that. I know they didn't have the original drummer. I think what's his name, Steve Gordman, I think his name. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, him and Rich, are getting along again.
Did they have friction back in the day?
Yeah.
But now it's all.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
Hey, are you about out of money? I'm about out of money. Let's go.
I mean, it's there.
I hope that's not the whole thing, but
I mean, there, like, if you remember the behind the musics, like the VH1 behind the musics, did you ever see any of those? Like the stories of you can find theirs on YouTube. It's entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then just like talking about brothers having fist fights, like that was was the Robertson brothers.
Hey, there you go.
They're like, then it became, we need two buses. Like, I'm not riding on the bus with him anymore. And so the record label's just like, so we got to pay for two buses now? Like, awesome. Like,
and also, we'll be doing everything separately save for the stage time.
Yeah. And I'm the first time I saw them was like, cause they've been like off and on, like through their hiatus or whatnot, was Voodoo Lounge. They played in like 2010, and Luther Dickinson from North Mississippi was playing guitar with him at the time.
With
It was odd. Yeah, that was great. I want to say that was the first time I talked to you.
Okay.
I'd seen you, with your sister or whatnot, but it was North Mississippi at the Beaumont Club.
Okay.
Like way back when, and sparsely attended show, but I was like, hey, you don't know me, but friends with your sister, like da da da.
Oh, like I was there?
Yeah, you were there. We talked. Yeah, we talked to each other. Yeah, that was like.
All right.
I was like, I had that random thought. I was like, yeah, that's North Mississippi. I was like,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's rolling up on 50. It's amazing how things just. It's like a covered wagon where the back's.
Yeah.
You open, you hit a bump, and shit's just. You get to Oregon, you're like, fuck, like we're missing so much shit.
Yeah.
That's my memory these days. Do you have anything coming up that you've got tickets for? Or?
Coming up, Boulevardia.
Yep.
Yeah. I think just gonna hit Friday night.
Same.
Yeah. Excited for that. Had done it a few times when it was down in the West Bottoms there by Kemper, and it was good. It was just. Hoping, just you never know what you're gonna get when people throw a big festival like that.
Yeah.
Tech Nine brought it last time. That was good hometown show for
him. Anything else on the horizon?
I think I'm gonna do War on Drugs at the Crossroads. Yeah. I'm excited that I don't know that they've been to Kansas City that I can remember.
If they have, it was before they were on my radar. I'm super excited about that. And
there's it seems like Crossroads went through a weird, like, I think their like booking agents have just like kind of, I think they were working with like maybe Pipeline or somebody before, and then now they're that used to be the like schedule that would come out and would just be like, all right, yeah, like let's go, like.
You mean you'd be able to see like months at a time line up, and I'm going to that, and I'm going to that, and I'm going to that, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore? Or?
Not really. And it's just been within the last few years. I don't know what happened down there. I'm not sure.
Why do I know Pipeline Productions?
They put on Wakarusa back in the day, or had a hand in that.
Because I could see it.
Yeah.
I can see it like on a sticker or on a cup or something.
Yeah.
As soon as you said it, I was like, what the fuck do I know that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that still happening?
I don't think so. I never went when they moved it down to Arkansas.
Me either.
It was just, I think, I don't know how many years it did in Lawrence, but like, it was just so like, I mean,
a given.
It was like 45 minutes away, so it's like, all right, I can like drive down and see Widespread, and like come back and work the next day. It was just.
I mean, I don't know that they're the same, but like my crew, we went to Green Eggs and Ham Jam, and then we went to Omega twice, and then it became Walker. I mean, it was the same spot, same like weekend, same so it felt like anyway. I thought that was going to be forever. Like I had one year where we packed up camp and went home early Sunday because I had a hockey game, played hockey, and then made it back out in time to see STS-9.
Yeah.
They were like the Sunday night headliner, and I was stone cold sober and freshly showered, and I mean, melted my fucking face. I was like, oh my God, like this is what people in the crowd with like, have you seen them?
Yeah, that was like one of the first like big shows of like the first Wakarusa was that Thursday night in Sound Tribe, and like we were on the rail, just waiting for him to come out, and the most wicked storm I've ever seen at a concert came through that Thursday, and we're just like, all right, go back to your tents, and we're like,
okay.
I don't want to go back to my tent. Like this is this is intense, But it was.
I had been listening to them a little bit, but I had no idea like what their setup was. Like I hadn't looked at any liner notes or seen any. I mean, YouTube was like brand spanking. So I was like, I don't know. I know their sound is cool, but I was like, fucking each dude is playing like a regular instrument and has a laptop or some kind of device that's contributing to the psychedelic.
Yeah.
And then again, like people had these, I mean, I don't even know, they're like little giant sticks with like a
totem stick.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus. I mean,
let your friends know where you're at. Yeah.
I mean, but also there was like it seemed like calculated movement, and all of it was so spooky. And I as sober as I was, I could just for rows just of fucking eyeballs that are like, I'm like, whoa, that person is gone enough for all of us.
Yeah.
But really, really wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you say that I got in trouble, not in trouble, but like I tried to steal somebody's inflatable alligator at a show at Wakarusa, and like it didn't end well for me, like some shoving or whatnot. I just thought I needed it more than them. But like those are like, you try to explain that to somebody, like, and you're just like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I didn't think I'd be telling that story.
I know, right? That's hilarious.
But yeah, I mean, that was, great shows. And like Flaming Lips.
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
I've never, so, I mean, we'll get to, but like definite pockets across my history where I'm like, all right, there's enough buzz that I'm going to give these people a try. And, sometimes it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's just now, or the opposite, like this is not for me. Flaming Lips, I've never like, given it an undivided, but what I have heard, I'm just like, I don't get the hype.
It's you got to know, where to jump in.
Yep.
Like their newer stuff is just out there. Like,
for real.
It's just, in like Yoshimi, like that's Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots.
Yep.
Like that was my kind of intro to it. And I remember my friend like playing it for me for the first time, and I was just a little I'd been overserved that night, and I'm like, this is too much. Like I can't even listen to this right now. This is too much.
Yeah.
Like,
I had there have been not perfect attendance for scheduled appointments, and you might find this as a shocker, but all of the folks that have not made it have like a huge number of restaurant industry years. And I'm like, and I knew when I was like, well, we'll see. And one dude who I've known forever, he gave me like, I don't fucking 6 or 7 or 8 records. And so I was up late the night before, and Yoshimi was one of them. And then whatever, but I was like, this sounds, I recognize some of this. But I remember them because one of Tiffany's like BFFs is always been a fan. I've always given him shit, unwarranted, for being a huge fan. And they, I think they headlined a Sunday night, but I think this was deep in like, I feel like there eventually would be like two main stages or two bigger stages and then a bunch of other little ones. So you could ostensibly have two headliners going at the same time.
And there wasn't the sound was pretty good. There wasn't a lot of bleed through, you know, which is rare.
Yeah.
You know?
So I went kind of with that posse to the Flaming Lips only because the other headliner, like I feel like I'd seen a bunch, and if, at some point deep enough into Festival of Wakarusa, you're like, you can't keep going to see the same people, dude. You got to fucking mix it up. That's why they're doing this.
Yeah.
So I went, and the crowd for that was, I mean, like quintuple the size of whatever thing I didn't go to, and everybody was so into it. And I was like, I remember I laid like deep enough that I'm separated from the rows of folks, and we were all laying down, but it was like for the whole that's how I spent the whole show, fucking watching this dude in the bubble and shit. I'm like,
it's a spectacle.
I don't hate this, but I don't understand what's going on. But when going back or for the first time, really sitting down, undivided attention to, I was like, this is not bad.
Yeah, I had stumbled upon them at Bonnaroo late night, and you know, like 2:00 in the morning, like walked in and they were like covering some Pink Floyd or something, not really knowing what I was getting into.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, and like kind of like one of those like, all right, put a pin in those guys. Like,
yeah,
let's see,
exactly.
You know, like, and then I think I ran over to the Funky Meters and got down with you know George Porter and the boys.
Who was it? I should know this, but like I said, my memory. Whoever the Meters keyboard player was made it pretty deep into the list of choices, and I was like, when he got eliminated, I was like, fuck, that would have been so cool, bro. And they're like, you're a loser, get out of here. I'm like, fine. I gotta pee. And I was thinking just a second ago when you were telling me about introducing yourself. I feel like an insanely disproportionate number of our seeings one another has been at Corner Cocktails. Like to the point where if I like see you somewhere else, like right here, I'm like, what are you doing here?
There's no Cheddar Burgers here. What are you doing?
And I mean, I can't believe I really didn't go there much until like 2002. I moved back in 2000, and was living with a girlfriend. So I mean, it was probably just we were right here, so it was probably just Hoopers and Brooksider. But then I lived with a buddy at 87th in Pennsylvania, and then was like, oh. And then I moved back to this neighborhood for grad school, and since then, like 04 or whatever, I can't believe how many hours I spent in there and how much money. I mean, not that it's a super spendy outing, but still, like, I mean, closing it multiple, more than one night a week for like a couple calendar year, just like, wow, man. But it's a great spot.
I mean, gosh, I worked at BB's for 14 years.
Oh man.
So
you can't not stop by on
it
your
was
way
just home. They knew when we were coming too, because we were, smelling like hickory smoke.
Well, that's most of my memories of you have been like that, like the smell hits you at the same time the sight does.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit. I mean, what's up, man?
It was one of the few places, where you could put it in like a hard, like, sweaty day work and like still smell like barbecue.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like, okay, it's not, like, or at least that in my mind, that's the way.
Yeah.
Somebody probably tell me otherwise, but
it's really I have this customer of mine does lots of jarring, and their shit's in like grocery stores and the Mike's liquor stores, and I walked in there a few weeks ago, and it's their place is very small. Like customers don't go in there, but anyway, they had just he'll buy like 500 pounds of diced onions, and immediately in the tilt skillet, and I don't know if they're going in balsam. I don't know but I walked in, I was like, oh my god, and I was there for maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and I mean, I had to come home and I had to change clothes and my hoodie, even in my car. I was like, I wonder what their cars and their homes must smell like. Like, holy shit, man.
You definitely you kept your nice clothes in a different like part of the house.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like any like buttoned up shirts or whatnot. They weren't living next to anything that you brought home.
Right.
I was like, you could always. I was like, there's a lot worse things to smell like when you get out of it. Like
yeah.
But I don't know how many times it's like it smells like a campfire in here.
Which
like,
is like kind of not the smell.
Yeah.
I mean it's of the same family. But
oh gosh, yeah. When I would go to an actual like somebody having like a little like after hours like campfire. And then I'd be like, oh, these clothes just reek, like this is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is what you always smell like. So
Yeah.
kind of ish,
So that gig for I remember this pocket where you were like every home game, right? At Arrowhead.
Yeah. So through Lindsay Shannon, I got to give him some
R.I.P. Right?
No. His wife Jo passed away earlier this year.
Right. And
Lindsay just retired from his blues show after 45 years.
45
Sunday
years. Nights on the Fox, right?
Sunday nights on the Fox, yeah. So it was, last Sunday or the Sunday before last was his last one, and he had been on, I think it wasn't all with the Fox, it was like KCUR.
Oh,
maybe, like I think he had another, like it transferred to the Fox. He worked his way up there, but yeah, I mean, just with that,
Have they shaken hands on the sale of the place yet?
They have, yeah. So
that's the Nickel Brothers.
The Nickel Brothers, yeah. Congrats to those guys. They.
What's up? Guess who you're getting a visit from soon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Because they were like ready.
Yeah.
And then the old man died.
Yeah.
And the shit's been in like probate, and Lindsay and Jo were like, we're not opening new accounts.
Yeah.
We're not putting our names on anything new.
Yeah. And
they were like, you'll have to wait. And that's been like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
So yeah. So gosh, I left in 2018, I guess. So,
okay.
So that's been as many years or whatnot.
Man, that, the Fox and classic rock, were just what I was hardwired to for so many years. Yeah. And like the fact that the Chiefs were a part of it made it like, it was just perfect. And, the memory that I have running over and over in my head is kind of, especially for like a 3 o'clock kick. Cause what time did his show start?
It was
after
like,
the afternoon
8
game.
o'clock, 8 to 10,
so,
7 to 9. 8 to 10.
I had so many memories, cause for a while, and this is going back a long, long time ago. We were a household that was TV muted and Fox on.
When that would still sync up.
Like, right. Yeah.
Mitch Holtis.
Yeah. Going back to Harlan even.
Oh, yeah.
But
the Oh Baby What a Play days.
Yeah.
Lindsay's got the coolest Oh Baby What a Play like shirt.
Nice.
And I'm just like, that's legendary.
Yeah. Well, I would argue I'm calling both games has like maybe surpassed that. Do you remember that? Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. His viral moment that he had.
I was tuned in live for that, and Rich Gannon's like, I'm getting confused. Which game are you calling? Because we needed the Dolphins to beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
To make something, and so and the Chiefs game was like down to the wire.
Yeah.
And close and like stressful. And so he in between plays, he's anyway. But I don't do this in like literally 9, 10 plus. Right at 10 years ago, I completely stepped out of all fantasy sports because I was just garbage, giving money and then like not setting or just trying and being worse than if I didn't even set my lineup. And around the same time I got out of sports talk radio, because I would just sit and be like, oh, at the end of this bit, I gotta get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. And then they'd go to commercial and the bit wouldn't be done. And it just, all day, every day, just anyway. And stupid callers, just like, Anyway, but I used to. I think there's some parallel to years of shitty Chiefs football, always translating to like consuming more Chiefs content.
Yeah.
Like all the post game show that's in the building, and then it kicks out to a bar in Leawood or something, and listen. Like if I listen to every possible thing, I'll find the answer, and we'll win the next game. And then eventually, Chiefs coverage ends, and Lindsay's show would start.
Yeah.
And I never really stuck around, but I would always be like, "Oh my god, he's still fucking doing this!"
And he would always say that he's like, any day, somebody can buy the Fox. Like, I think, it was Cumulus when the majority of the time there. It's like somebody can come in and be like, why is there a blues show on a classic rock station? He's like this can go away at any time. Like.
So would you tune in often?
I would try to. I mean,
what was the name of the show?
Just the Kansas City Blues Show.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would try?
I would try to.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we would turn it. If I would close on a Sunday night, we'd always turn it on.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Gosh, those were some of my favorite shifts at BB's. Was the Confessors on Sunday nights. Lee McBee. I mean, there was a lot of good harmonica players that came through.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that was like my maximum, just like ingesting music at all times.
Cool.
Just like because it's like there's always like live music 6 nights a week. So,
yeah.
Wow. But, the Confessors. Yeah, Pat Recobb and carried it on. Lee McBee. R.I.P. He passed away a few years back, but they were just. I mean. And that was the thing. Like I didn't know a whole lot about blues music. Like before I came in, like I was like still in like jam, So it's like like my blues intake was like would be like Warren Haynes and like Government Mule, and then like that would lead, like
I just heard the riff to Soul Shine.
And then like like almonds and everything like that, and then like your your standards, know. But I heard a lot of like Lindsay's favorite blues artist was Muddy Waters. So,
okay.
So we, a lot of, there'd be songs covered that, I didn't realize was somebody, like whether it be like a Howlin' Wolf or Walter.
I do have a couple of memories of feeling like he really knew his shit. Like he wasn't just taking the same 40 tracks and changing the order.
No,
like because he would always talk about shit.
Yeah.
He, next up, or what we just heard then, and a little like what driving around like. Yeah. Does he have a guy in the truck feeding him?
I mean, he like till a couple Sundays ago, he was still doing his shows on CD. Like he would bring in a bag full of CDs, and then just like, all right, after this, like we're gonna queue up
all his own shit.
He
must have a hell of a library.
I've never seen it, but
have you heard?
He'd have because Joe, his wife, would always say, she's like, you guys think that he just like this just turns off like when we get home, but there's always he's always playing something in the house. He's always like, but yeah, cool. Like he's got. I mean, they had like a vinyl room. Like I mean, I'm sure like his collection belongs in a museum. Like he's probably got stuff that just
I gotta fucking see if he wants to come do this.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. He would be. Yeah. I mean, talk about next level. I mean, getting like that'd be a nice little transition for him actually to do a podcast, a blues podcast. Right. I mean, it takes some selling, but
yeah. So how many seasons were you at Arrowhead every Sunday?
I was like at the top of the list, like with Mike Nickel.
Okay.
And then a few, like, I mean...
But you're working there.
Yeah,
and
so we would
load in and load out.
We would get to the restaurant, at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, heat up the food.
Like a couple of Saturday nights at Corner being like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right,
it was, there are some times, I mean, that was, yeah, it's just like, and... Sometimes, just be like, well, just make sure you beat Lindsay here. Like, like we'll, and, like I did it for them too, like I've got it, like waiting for somebody to, burning daylight. But yeah, I mean, and then we would just set up the line, and then usually would get in around the end of the first quarter.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Set up the line for
the catering line, and then
out there.
We'd feed them. We were doing those tents in between Kaufman and Arrowhead.
Okay. Who are you feeding?
It depended. A lot of times it would be like some of their affiliates from around.
Okay.
Or customers or whatnot.
So
people are trying to sell ads to.
You're outdoors, and then once it's done, you can go in.
Yeah, it's pack up. We got tickets that was included in our pay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that
was deducted from your pay, or just part of it.
Part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
An incentive. Yeah.
I mean, did you love doing that across the whole thing, or were there some days that were better than others?
I mean, I would always say yes to my own detriment, if it was a birthday party or, like a Halloween, like the days after Halloween games, I remember rolling out of there, I would, help out as much as I can and then just be like, all right, I'm going to be in the van for a little bit. I got to catch my wind before we go in because, I mean, and it would, it was always, I mean, that was a lot of fun. I mean, that definitely, I wouldn't have been going to Chiefs games back then had it not been for that gig. So,
I mean, do you miss it, or because there's something to be, I mean, I don't know what your situation was, but there's something to be said for, being on your couch in front of a nice TV with the toilet right there and a fridge full of beers that don't cost $14.
Arrowhead, man, it never gets old. Like, I love it. I mean,
really, if somebody tomorrow was like, so this season we're starting to back up again, are you in?
Yeah,
would you be?
So my fiance Kelly has had season tickets.
Oh shit!
Since '91.
God damn.
So she's in like
who with her family?
Her dad. Her and her dad.
Just the two of them?
Had a little group with like six of them with like.
So there's 6 tickets.
Like family friends, yeah. Like they had the 2, and then her dad passed away, and then now she goes with her uncle, who's her dad's like twin brother. So that's always pretty cool.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wild.
So, but yeah. So
every home game.
She's been to every home game. I mean, we were waiting for the schedule to come out on Thursday because we wanted to know if there'd be a game after the day after our wedding, like the Sunday after our wedding. There it is. It's Buffalo. She's trying to figure out the logistics with that.
Is it a noon kick?
That's a 3:00 kick.
Okay.
That game's probably going to get flexed to the nighttime if I had to
Dude.
guess. Like, I mean, they're
okay. So my homie, the game where we saw the race brawl, that was in the middle of this 10-year stretch where 2 college buddy Bronco fans, they would come out for the Chiefs game. I would go out for the Broncos game out there every year. And then wives became part of the mix. So like this year, it's all the girls are coming with to Denver, and next year all the girls will be here in KC. That was and then everybody started having kids, and that whole thing fell apart. Yeah. So we decided to very late in the season, because he was living on the Front Range in the late 90s and had been on the waiting list for I don't know how long, and then he moved to Durango, and his number came up, and he was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so he just did it. And, it's a 6-hour drive, but he'll move a couple of those to family or friends or whatever. So he's like, all right, man, well, the last game of the season is the Chiefs game. Come out. And I was like, man, my daughter's got a gymnastics meet. And he's like, lame. And I was like, oh, I'll just get on a plane that afternoon, fly out, and then come home the day after. And another buddy out there was like, well, I want to go too and bring my boy. So I bought 3 tickets, booked a flight, and then the league moved the game back a day. And I was like,
thanks, Phil.
No, that's not. You're doing it anyway? Okay. So that's not noon becoming 7:15.
Yeah.
That I was like, I fought the ticket broker for almost 2 full months, and finally just reported it to my bank.
Yeah.
And then strangely, like, the bank refunded me, and then the ticket broker gave me a credit. And I was like, this feels like a very dangerous carrot. Like, if I use this, because that was the only thing they were going to do is we'll give you, 12 months to use that money. You're not getting your money back.
Yeah.
But then I got the money back, and because they kept not giving it to me, and it was super, super sketchy. And I was like, yo, like, I'm nobody, but I will light you guys on fire.
Yeah.
And
it was his secondary.
Yeah. But anyway, I was like, the league is saying, in essence, those ratings, those eyeballs, those numbers, the importance and the value of them clearly supersede any inconvenience that we might cause random, Chiefs fan.
Was that Pat's first game?
What's that?
Was that Mahomes' first game?
No,
the last game of the season?
This year.
Oh, this last year. Okay.
It was so it was the first 17 game schedule, 18-week season. And it came down to and several games, like as one might anticipate, had playoff implications. And so it was a Sunday noon kick, and they just moved it to like Saturday noon or Saturday 3. And I was like, I'm not going to be in that city at that time. I land when kickoff happens, like, and everybody was like, which just means like the NFL's running the shit, man. Take it up with them, It's like, anyway, wow.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like that's like with her having, she's just got a lot of friends.
So she has 6 to every.
Just two. Just two,
okay. And I've only 4 other.
Yeah, and I've only really sat in her seats only a handful of times. But like she's a lot of her friends are season ticket holders too. So like, tickets become available, I just jump on them.
Right,
like,
but I mean, does her uncle go with her to most of them? And then if you sit in their seats, it's just because one of their people had to miss or something like that.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, and she's right behind the defensive bench, like 3 rows back on the 40-yard line. Chiefs side. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, and like it's funny too because like. We've met for the first time, 3 years ago, but like the Houstons, their season tickets are like,
oh, they have tickets too.
They have tickets too. They're same, like just on the opposite aisle. So I've sat in their tickets, like a handful of times throughout the years.
And how many do they have, and who are the owners of them?
They Tim and Terry usually split them up, and then their cousins or whatnot will take some too.
Wow!
So they've had theirs, since like their grandma bought them when they built the stadium type of deal. So it's like and there's been times, it's like trying to figure out like, all right, what are we doing with these tickets, and then it's like if a less than stellar teams making the playoffs, it's like, oh, do I really want to shell out the however much to go? And I mean that was there's obviously resale value there, but what's the fun in that?
Yeah. So we went one direction with shows and didn't go the other. So what was your first show?
First show was, I feel like it was like a Spirit Fest.
Okay.
At some point or another, but the one that I remember was Bob Dylan and Phil Lesh and Friends out at Sandstone.
Oh wow! Okay.
That was like I was big old Bob Dylan fan in high school. That kind of like just started delving into his catalog.
Yeah.
So we even drove to the Pico Expo Center to see him at one point, which was and it's like he's one of those renowned people. You never know what you're going to get out of a show or whatnot from him. And
was that one at Sandstone, was that a good one?
It was, yeah. Okay. And he opened up for Phil and Friends. So,
okay.
Everybody got what, they're dancing or whatnot.
Was Phil and Friends fun?
It was fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good show. And then saw him again, I think the following year, and Willie Nelson opened up for him. So that was...
Wow.
Yeah.
You said was big old Bob Dylan fan. Are you not anymore?
No, I still am, I'm not, throwing on blonde all the time or anything like that. But
if you're gonna throw one on, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I did when I was blogging a lot. I did top 25 albums and spread it across 3 installments, and the not that I needed to for some of them, but I 3 top to bottom listens per album. And that was so much fun. Like it was, and then the picture that I took for the post, like the old house had this, probably the surface of this, but this huge, it had a really big wide open basement and this huge craft table in one quarter of the basement. It's perfect for like, well, just storing shit on, or like if you're actually gonna craft or wrap presents, because you could walk around the whole thing. It had storage. Anyway, I had a couple of pieces of vinyl, mostly tapes, and 4 or 5 CDs, and I made this like spread on the table of all of them, and that was the picture for and I mean, it was like, I don't know if maybe you can relate, but like the amount of joy and glee out of that project, which took so many hours, was insane. And I was like the only person that enjoyed it, probably. To the point where it's like, should I feel bad about this? I mean, anyway.
I mean, one thing that has gone away is the ticket stub. Like,
oh, I know,
organizing my ticket stubs for a while was, like, I'm just like, oh man, what if like the last 10 years or however long it's been away, like, and then I'd be like frustrated if I didn't get one, like asking random strangers if I could have their stuff from the night. Like, they're like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, I've got several piles of them around, and I don't know. Every time I find one, I'm like, oh shit, look at this. When I was talking to Tiffany, Elaine's dad, who's been gone for quite some time, made all of his grandkids shadow boxes, and including Tiffany and I had just like random shit in there, like, but it was all cool, and it was mine, and several of those slots were just jammed full of ticket stubs from like all the Comets games and Royals and Chiefs from the 80s, and probably some Spirit Fest shit in there. And at some point, I think as Tiffany and I moved out of our mother's home, she just, I mean, clear like so much shit. It's just gone. It's like, oh my God. Like, I spent most of my childhood staring at this thing and being like, I love this. And you just, and out with the hamburger grease and the banana peels. What?
I mean, that's coming at my parents' house. We're gonna have to. I mean, we've been in that house now since '99, and like, I mean,
you still have stuff there.
I've got a lot of stuff there.
They haven't thrown it away.
Yeah, no, and a lot of it is like the case, not even the CD like cases with like the CDs. It's just like the back and the plastic. The books landed in like in a booklet or whatnot, but like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess like I started, thinking in like, what am I going to like, am I going to carry around this plastic for the rest of my life? Like, do I, like that's where, you got to kind of like make the cut. Like,
I bought this, it's upstairs if I remember on the way out to show it to you, but it looks like the case that, if you ever are like backstage at a show or like in one of their trailers, or there's all these cases with like black and silver and hasps, and I bought one of those that I think it holds 500 CDs, and the purpose being there's a little pocket for the disc and the album art, and you can toss the plastic. It's been sitting in my living room for like 5 years. Because I've never done it. Because, I mean, I'm not going to put them in there not alphabetized. And where they are now is in a cabinet that is not, I mean, there's not like there's no reason to take them all out other than just to do that project. But, I mean, it's coming. Tiff, I think Tiff said she just recently donated all of hers. Yeah. She's like, I mean, I have them all, I have access.
I mean, it's good. I mean, like, the tragedy, like the big book got stolen, out of the car at one point or another. So it's like, there's a lot of them like, oh man, like, I mean, and like some of them, like there's some like, random, like hip hop records that like been out of print, for, since 99 or 2,000 or whatever, that are, you like look up like how much is, Pharaoh Monch Internal Affairs, like the CD is like, oh man, that's like $100 CD. Like,
wow.
It's like I should probably like.
So you have a lot of stuff at their place?
Yeah.
All in the basement?
Pretty much, yeah.
And what's the basement situation at your place?
There is none. We got a crawl space. Yeah. So we're.
So it's not just getting the stuff out of there and maybe organizing. Yeah. You got to figure out where it's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I was living in a tiny house there over on 79th Street in Maine for
how long?
About 3 years.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it was 500 square feet of awesome, like as I like to call it.
That's not where you live. You lived when I first met you. You lived with your buddies. Was it Travis's place?
Yeah.
You're not talking about that place.
No.
Okay.
No. My most recent house was
500 square feet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had gotten rid of a lot of my stuff. And then was
necessary downsize. Okay.
Yeah, and then was planning on moving out of the country before that. So.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
What was this? You were gonna go do?
Yeah.
Barbecue.
Yeah. My our buddy Ben from Ben Hensley from went through Miege with him.
Uh-huh.
He fell in love and met a girl and fell in love and moved to Stockholm and has been there. Gosh, I mean, since, early 2000s or whatnot. Okay. And he went, I mean, they, traveled the world. He went to culinary school in Australia.
Whoa.
And then they moved to Spain for a while she finished school.
And she's from the States too?
She's from Sweden. She's from Stockholm.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of our friends from K-State at the time they had studied abroad together. So that's how they met. And then, so he'd been working in kitchens, and this was something that, he'd like come back to, he'd have like little visa issues here and there, and he'd come back and he's like, I think I'm gonna open up a barbecue restaurant. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, and then like, oh, you should come over there. And I'm like, oh, like, yeah, like.
And you quit your job to do it.
Oh yeah. I tried to retire at 36 and it didn't go well, but I mean, I was like, I thought I didn't truly understand like what the visa process was to get over and be over there to work over there, but I'd gotten everything submitted and I was waiting around, and I did. I quit my job. I had 2 going away parties. Like, yeah, I was like,
and what,
ready to go.
Was it was a visa thing, or
it was
something?
A visa thing? Yeah. And then like, I mean, it was like, yeah, it just got like, I sat around and waited for like it was a process. It was like almost 5 or 6 months of just being in limbo, and then like. Two of that was me just like sitting around like rewatching The Wire, like
if you're gonna rewatch a series.
Yeah, it's like I was like, well, quit the job, like moved back in with my parents, like just assume that was gonna like, be the like, all right, this is gonna be my jumping off point to move over there.
So what was the ultimate hang up?
I don't think it.
Because I mean, they opened the place.
Yeah, they opened the place, and
still...
they didn't. They closed
okay.
A couple years ago, and he was actually like he imported a smoker from Texas, and
I'm sure that was cheap.
Yeah, an electric assisted wood fire.
Essentially, you were going to be like the pit dude, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna be his right hand man.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, okay. Like he took the whole thing seriously. He went on like a little barbecue pilgrimage throughout the States here, and he came back. He actually worked at BB's for a while like again like visa issues on his part, like before they had gotten married or whatnot. He's just like waiting around to.
So what was it? What was the hiccup?
I don't think I'm not. Never really got 100% clear, but like I think it was a money issue.
No, for you to get over there.
To get over there, yeah, with the visa. My visa got denied.
But why?
They didn't think they were paying me enough money for what the job was.
Who?
From the the way it was set up.
Like the Swedish government?
The Swedish government, yeah.
Thought that the people that opened the place weren't going to pay you enough?
Yeah.
And so they said, no, you can't come?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
What if you're fine with that?
I'm like, I don't like. I was like, I'm gonna be the dude on the couch for a while, like I don't know, like. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, it was.
Was that offensive to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, no, it was odd. I mean, I guess it's been. I mean, you got to think about like Sweden the way it is. Like as soon as that visa gets approved, like that's pay like 6 weeks paid vacation every like you're automatically like free college, free free healthcare.
Oh.
You're adopting all their benefits by having that approved. So that process can be pretty tough.
So I guess in essence, they want you to have enough money to be spending it in the economy that's already giving you free stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you're not,
their tax rate's pretty high over there too. I'm not sure what. It's
wild.
But their quality of life is also high.
I'm sure.
And I was able to go over there and visit them.
Right.
We did a family trip over to Rome in 2017, and
you and your folks and your brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then just we did that. We went over for an ordination over there, and then which was really cool. And then I just went up to Sweden for
on your own.
Yeah,
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was
break
fun.
Off from a little vacay from the vacay.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And I was back at BB's at that point.
Okay, that's right.
Like I was like, well, this is like I did not budget for like to be not working for
Hey, you remember that one time?
Yeah. And they're they had hired some people in between, and it was like. I did some awkward conversations with the new people. Like, yeah, okay, like you're not gonna like we're gonna
bring this guy back, which means you're
it's like they're just like
sorry.
I had one person talk to me like like go wash those dishes. Like, okay, man, like no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
but no, and the Nichols and the Shannons for that matter were super cool through that whole process.
Nice.
Like I say, I'd been there for 13 years, so it was one of those things, like it was just the atmosphere there. That's what kept me at BB's for so long, like loved, honing in that craft of barbecue, and that pit is just old school and awesome.
And is it like can you make, I'm sure you can make one of those things to where it's got a pretty clear shelf life, like after a certain amount of time this is going to have to be replaced, or can you make it to where it's like 200 years later it's still just
the pit?
Yeah.
We like the big project, we had to replace the firebox.
Okay.
And so that was an undertaking.
What are the parts?
You're talking like 1.5 foot of concrete, like just for the lid, and then, cinder blocks or whatnot. And it was nice. The guy that was supposed to be building it got a DUI the night before he was supposed to be there. So we were like ready to get the pit going and start the rebuild process.
Yeah.
And our mason, fucked up. And
so what was the solution?
The Nichols called in a favor to one of their old retired guys that had been, his first question is, "Where's my mud?" He's like, I need some concrete going. We're gonna get this together, and they did, because it was the firebox was just like falling off. So we were just
but the firebox is only one piece of a pit, right?
The firebox is probably, it's close to this. The pit itself is probably the size of this room.
Okay.
And then the firebox is like offset, probably like half the size. And a little like. So we're burning a lot. We burn a lot of. It's not the most efficient thing. So.
Oh.
I getting our wood from the Ozarks and dealing with. Yeah.
Did you get from Top Notch?
We did not. I had some interactions with Top Notch.
Have you ever received a delivery from them?
Oh yeah.
They look like Ozark dudes that have a wood company.
Yeah.
And
they're making a killing. Like they had monkeys. Like they're like, like I don't know if you've watched that show or whatnot.
What show?
Ozark.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, there's a spot in it where they're like, oh, we got a bobcat, like there was like an exotic pet, know, and it's like, and they're like, oh man, that seems far fetched. I'm like, no, like
Top Notch dudes had monkeys.
They had monkeys, yeah. And they're like, do you want to see the monkeys? And they're like, they'd laugh like, oh, we dressed it up and took it to Walmart, and you should have seen the look on the cashier's face, like.
Those guys, I swear, like more than once, because they would deliver. I don't know if it was a cord or whatever to McCoy's, and they pull it up on this trailer with fencing around and whatever. But and then they would load the thing, would load out of the truck and into the, and I mean, I swear that one of them multiple times, not only like a perfect Ozark mullet, but like cut off jean shorts, shirtless, and like some old beater Nikes, and kind of looking at you every time you walk, like, yo, I mean, can you just deliver the firewood and go. Give me an invoice. I'm not, whatever you're cooking up in your head, I'm not going to be a part of. So, thank you.
That was the charm. I mean, I mean, and then like,
where's my mud?
Yeah, where's my mud? And we, I would, I don't think we might have closed like odd day, like on top of our regular, Monday being closed or whatnot. And then we were back up and smoking. I think we brought in the tow behind smoker to kind of supplement it while the pit was down. Or whatnot.
I was gonna say, doesn't the shit have to like set? I mean, that can't be a 3-hour process. Probably like 3 days or something crazy.
And the best was the mason came. Like,
unaware that
tail between his legs. He's like, well, it looks like you guys got it done. And it's like, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. It's like, well, you were in the pokey, man. Yeah. Like, it wasn't an option. Like, we needed this, like...
I wouldn't have done what you were doing like that.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah. But it was...
So it's a great pit over there?
It is. I mean, it is. I mean, gosh, now it's probably, 70 years old.
Damn.
And, I mean, it wasn't in use when... BB's opened in 1990. Like the people before it, like it was like boarded up.
What?
So
what was it before then?
Oh man, that place. So 85th Street used to be County Line.
Okay.
And so it was just the Roadhouse on the other side of County Line. So it was like a place called the Fortress before that, and then I mean, that. I'm not a ghost guy, but that building I did not like being in there by myself.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
somebody built a pit and it was in use, and then change of ownerships, not in use and boarded up. New owner unboarded, back in use.
Yeah,
that is a fucking tale.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like that,
there's got to be 100 more of the Mason stories across that. I mean, character upon character.
Yeah.
That have done time in that building. So you've experienced Top Notch, but you weren't getting. Were you?
I think we were getting. Okay. Like Top Notch sounds from like I think it was Vaughn Woods was the other one that we didn't use. Those were the two big guys. Like I mean they did like us McGonagall's, Joe's, and then and Jack Stack, that was their Jack Stack was their big. I mean we would get shorted sometimes because it's like gotta go to Jack Stack first, like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah. It was good. I mean, and then you throw on some, like I said, live blues music 6 nights a week on top of that. Like there's
wow.
I was there a few too many years, I would say, but I remember, I mean, hey, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Not a bad place to spend your 20s.
No. I mean, it's such an odd place too, in that like it doesn't really make the rounds of the conversations for if a buddy's in town, hey, where should I go to Gates or Jack's or Q39? But they've been in business for how many years?
Since 1990 now.
So 32, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a tiny chunk of time. That's a minute.
Yeah. We would always, it was always the blues place with barbecue.
Yeah.
And, there was times, in the get-go when they were figuring things out that, like it was, but like Mike Nichols' passion for barbecue, like grew like with his time there, that, for a while there, like we were getting recognition, it started becoming like the barbecue place with blues, I was always, took a lot of pride in what we were doing over there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more consistent, better barbecue around town. But, I mean, if you're going to take somebody and want to give them a Kansas City experience, like, show me a better place.
Right.
Like
meaning go during dinner service so that you get the music too.
Or go Saturday during Mama Ray. She's been doing it. Diane Mama Ray. She had to jam at Harlene's upstairs.
Okay.
If you remember ever going there. So that was a conversation. I remember she was looking for a new place to come, and so she came, and God bless Mama Ray. She's the best. She's back doing their Saturday cool. Their Saturday open jams or whatnot. But there wasn't a lot of set changes, so it was one of those things. I know talking to friends at 75th Street with the Brew Jam, like we'd compare notes, be like, we always hear, like Papa was a Rolling Stone. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, we always hear, like what the America song, the Horse with No Name,
oh my God.
Like this is like, okay, well, these are just the songs that you're going to hear every week. And so those, you keep those in your back pocket as your karaoke song. So just because
for sure, man, that America, that song is such a trip. Like I've heard it so many times, but I still enjoy it. Like it's like, wait, what is happening? After 9 days, I let the horse run free because the sky had turned to sea or something. Like, wait, what? What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
So you mentioned rewatching The Wire. Are you like a show guy? You have a lot of shows going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is outside of work and whatever, couples things you and Kelly might do, are shows, do they get a lot of your...
Yeah, for sure.
What have been some current...
Well, first, I'm a pro wrestling fan.
Still going back to...
Yeah, talking about things I should have stopped doing a long time ago.
But when did you first...
Oh man, I'm like 89. Like I remember watching, like TBS Saturday nights, at 5:00, like Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, and that was one thing that would always relate with my dad and even my dad's dad.
Nice.
The Joe and Joe,
Is that, are you, you're not a
I'm not a third.
Okay.
We don't share the same,
okay.
Same middle name as my grandpa, but my dad, skipped one there, but Harley Race from Kansas City. There's
George the Animal Steel.
Oh man, yeah.
I was very, very much in the minority because SNL was huge back then. Like that was not that everybody would talk about it, but frequently you could find pockets of conversation at school on Monday morning about the previous weekend's SNL, and every quarter. Or what, like 4 times a year, you'd get a Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And everybody would be like, oh, stupid wrestling's on. I'm like, more for me.
Yeah.
I was, I guess, at least, definitely grade school, middle school. I don't know how deep into high school I was into it, but at least up until what was WrestleMania 1? Was that 83?
Yeah.
So probably up to 6 or 7, and SummerSlam had just become a thing, but I was kind of checking out. I was working and interested in partying and girls and just no longer committing the time. But, and then it whatever, they had to announce that it was staged, and then and this is all I'm 100% WWF.
Yeah,
I was never WCE or NWA, and now it's WCW, right?
The WWF turned into WWE.
That's right.
Because the World Wildlife Foundation, they took the chair shot to them. They sued them and took their name, their acronym from them. So. To save the pandas,
God.
So it's entertainment now. It's not a federation. It's the World Wrestling Entertainment.
Right.
But
it was. I can't say this with a ton of confidence, but I feel like once that happened, it actually had a slightly different look.
Yeah.
Like the WWF across the 80s and into the early 90s was a wealthy organization, but also a little grimy, and not too much no real shame associated with that griminess. They're It's fucking sketch over here. What are you going to do about it?
It's like, yeah, we take steroids.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like,
and just like
vitamins.
all the interviews that me and Gene Okerlund did with like two insanely huge, jacked out of their minds humans, greased up, screaming at one. And he's just always like, you don't say, like perfect poker face. And then it was, once it was WWE, everything looked like wealthier and shinier and newer.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I guess.
Yeah. There's still that grimy stuff out there. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's just like, I mean, it's like anything, they talking about like making content, they truck through, they never stop, they're 52 weeks a year. There's no off season there. I mean, that's where, like now it's like, as, like a 39-year-old and like still watching wrestling, you kind of just, you just.
Is that all? You're 39?
Mm-hmm.
Are you younger than Jessica?
Older. Yeah. 1 year older.
I mean, okay. Yeah. They had the math adds up. Okay. Yeah. For a minute, I was like, yeah, no, Jessica's 42. And then I was like, wait, no, she's 9 years younger than me.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Man, so many good times though. Like I had a buddy just right up the street. His parents would spring for pay-per-view for everything. And there would be like plenty of pizza and unlimited, Cokes in a can. And it was just like, I'm set, bro. This is going to be.
It was the best. I mean, I remember, like, I mean, your neighbors across the street, like, Stella over there down the street, the Zayners.
Oh yeah,
like, we would get pay-per-views over there, like around. I mean, like, gosh, I mean, like boxing matches, like like that.
Same
like,
buddy would get all the Tyson
fights. Yeah, I mean that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like when you're a kid and growing up or whatnot. But and then I mean we were. I was just thinking, me and three other Peter's kids, we were at that pay-per-view down at Kemper when Owen fell. Owen Hart passed away. So that was.
I don't know. I very vaguely recall.
It was randomly, me and Carlos I helped him with the catering earlier this year for a law firm. And
earlier, I thought you were going to say back then.
No,
I was like, that guy's been catering for like 40 years.
But they were involved in the case, like, and they were like, Carlos brought it up to him. He's like, and we were like, oh yeah, because the two of us were there with two other Peters guys, and it was, I mean, it was.
And what happened?
He was supposed to descend from the ceiling, like with, like on a bungee, not bungee, like, but like a straight
cable or
cable,
something.
Yeah. And
malfunction.
And
the dude fell to his death in front of thousands of people.
Yeah. I mean, there was 15,000 people there, maybe. I don't know what Kemper holds. That's probably, I just pulled that number out, but like they didn't say the show kept on going.
I was gonna say, show must go on, right?
Yeah.
Like just get the body out of here.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and then when we got home, like, like one of the guys we were with, like dead on arrival. Like he was, when he got to the hospital, he had passed away.
Fuck.
Yeah. It was, and then, so that was, gosh, we were, 17, 18 when that happened. So, wrapping our mind around that. They're just now like the new company that like the competitor to WWE is doing an Owen Hart tournament right now. And so I've got I got some mixed feelings about it, watching it. I'm like, oh man, like, and it took them, 20 plus years to do something like that. So I can appreciate that. But,
right.
They're showing his widow in the stands and everything. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And then doing, crazy ladders, jumping off of ladders. And I'm like, let's not celebrate him like that, guys. Right. Like, this is, I don't know. I mean,
who are the WWE's competitors?
AEW.
Okay.
Yeah. So they got a deal with Turner that they're on TBS and TNT now. And do they have big names? Yeah.
Do guys go between them?
It's just now starting to happen. Yeah. So I mean, like, competition's good, and like, I mean, yeah, like, so the owner of that, his dad owns the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh,
the Con. Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
whoever he hired for his first GM it doesn't turn out to look like the best hire.
Yeah.
Like they were terrible this past year,
yeah.
right?
Urban Meyer and that shit show.
Jesus.
He had a
what
rough...
are you guys doing?
He's like, I'm just gonna stay in Ohio for a day. Like, how'd that work out for you, boss?
Yeah. I had a dude on who he played in a band locally called Solid Gold Easy.
Okay.
They've had a couple different lineups. In fact, I think they opened for somebody at Starlight, but they used to play at Jilly's.
Okay.
And then there was another place that they play. Anyway, he is a fascinating dude to me because, like, I went to 6 different grade schools, like just did so always the new kid.
Yeah.
And then when we finally like landed somewhere permanently was for 6th grade. So it was like I'm still moving, but everybody's moving with me. Uh-huh. And so this guy we had life sciences together, first hour, 7th grade, and there were these like pretty decent sized long black tables that sat 2, and you assigned seat anyway. So we were together, and he was somewhat. And he actually, no, he wasn't into wrestling at the time, but he and some of his friends had an inside joke about something about the one man gang. And so I brought that up, and he was like, that wasn't me. I don't know what that's about, because I wasn't into wrestling. And I was like, I don't think it was a wrestling joke. I think it was about something else. And he's like, I have no idea. Anyway, the point was, like, the one man gang was like, do you remember him?
Yeah.
I mean, he was around and like just long enough to be like, whoa, like that dude is fucking sketch. And then all of a sudden he's Akeem the African Dream.
Yeah.
And then forever that.
They're still doing that to this day. They're just like switching characters, like, and you're like, you want me to, like, okay. Yeah. But Akeem, like.
For the yellow garb and the hat and like. Before he was like leather jacket with the sleeves torn off and a mohawk and sunglasses and just like, I'll rip your mother's head off and shit down her throat kind of like vibe to him. And then he's all of a sudden he's like this, I was like, we can tell that's the same dude. Like, what are you talking about right now? That's insane. Like they were like, it was like the ushering in of PC. Like we can get rid of this character and now have somebody that's like a little bit more worldly.
Yeah, yeah. They got to sell those ice cream bars. Man.
Yeah, exactly. So
we watch. I mean, she bless her for that. I mean, I don't think she wasn't like a wrestling fan, but
she watches with you.
She'll watch it. Yeah, we watch together. We go to the events and everything.
How often are you tuning in?
I mean, 3 nights a week.
No way.
Yeah, maybe 4 if there's a pay-per-view.
Yeah. Holy shit.
It's a lot. I mean,
dude,
I deliberately not watch some that I might, like otherwise, just because it's like, like Monday, and she bowls on Monday, so
okay.
She wouldn't, so if I'm not playing like cards or something, I'll be watching Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
And then Wednesday night's the new one, the AEW, and then Friday night SmackDown, and
so you don't have necessarily loyalty to one brand.
Because I'm fans of,
okay.
I mean, Chris Jericho's in AEW, and I mean, I remember
that dude's been around for a minute.
Him since he was like came from Japan to WCW in like 95 or something,
Whoa.
Been a Jericho-holic. I don't really approve of like all of his messaging and everything. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like it's you never know what, but yeah, I mean, anymore now with like, I mean, and like a lot of my podcast listening is like about
get the fuck out of
about the wrestling.
Whoa.
Like, yeah.
So what are your 1 or 2 go-tos?
Going in Raw.
Okay. I'm sorry I asked.
Yeah. I do. I'll listen to Jericho's podcast on occasion. There's like some guys from like England that I'll like listen to their takes on it.
Nice.
To kind of like see that. But I mean, and then like just like a lot of comedy podcasts too. I mean,
oh, right on.
That's been the one thing. Like, I mean, having like a headphone job, I was always, like playing music in the kitchen, so that was, since I've, it's easier for me to like pay attention to a podcast now than it is to, necessarily, I don't listen to a lot of music. It's weird to say that out loud, but like not intaking as much music as, I had in the past, but.
Right. Well, that's hilarious. So Mondays she's bowling, so you're solo with and then
she'll catch the main event or so, when she comes home.
The other two nights a week she's there with you watching it. Yeah. Okay, and then on top of that, you guys have shows.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What all of you? What have been some of your recent favorites?
We're into Yellowstone.
Okay,
that's that's been good. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank now.
What comedy podcasts?
Two Bears.
Okay.
Yeah, we just went and saw Bert.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was he good?
He was good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. She got us, awesome seats down at the Midland, and I was.
You guys seem like you have a good thing.
Oh yeah. She took me for Christmas. I got from her mom and her family. They got us tickets to go see Mick Foley.
Mick Foley.
Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, the wrestler. He was the guy that got thrown off the top of the cage.
Oh, okay.
If you ever saw that,
I think
the
so.
Undertaker threw him off the top of the cage.
Wow.
So he did stand-up comedy at the Improv a few weeks back. That's
a former wrestler turned stand-up.
Yeah.
Holy
and
shit.
He's got stories for days.
Sure.
It was great. Because he did like tours over in Japan when they're just doing all sorts of crazy shit. But that show was supposed to be the night of the Buffalo Kansas City playoff game, and so they announced that you're talking about when your game got moved from like Sunday to Saturday.
Yeah.
When they announced that playoff game, I was like, I'll find somebody to go to see Mick Foley with me. Like,
you guys go to the game?
We ended up going. He himself was like, I want to watch this game. He's like, I don't really want a few hundred people on their phones like following it. So
Smart.
he postponed it. It ended up it went from a Sunday night to like a Tuesday night. So
he flexed that shit himself.
Oh yeah, and it only turned. that game turned pretty lousy. Wait,
like, what? The Buffalo game?
Yeah, like you see that all the time when somebody comes back to 13 seconds to get overtime and everything,
it was an epic game.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah. You were being facetious.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. No
Your
worries.
sarcasm font wasn't turned on.
No worries. Yeah, and so was at that game with Travis, and kind of gave him like he had mentioned, like, hey, I wouldn't mind going to like the game here or whatnot.
Right.
So those tickets will just fall in your lap though. So it was like, all right, tickets for tomorrow. He's like, yeah, I guess so. Like, let's go.
So basically the staples and the byproducts of the YMH umbrella are all I watch.
Yeah. Sickler and...
Well, if you've ever looked at the set of the Honeydew, I was like, that's what I'll do. I didn't mean for my table to be as brown as his is, and the microphones basically look the same, but he's good, man.
Yeah.
I went and saw him in January and was insanely disappointed.
Okay.
He opened for Segura here a couple years ago, and you had 15 minutes or so, and almost all of it was the difference. The bit was the difference between alcohol and weed, and it was clever.
A topic that's probably never been touched
before. It was clever. Yeah. But and then. When I went and saw him in January, he's the headliner. He had an hour and he went long, and not only did he repeat the entire 15 minutes of that bit, every other bit I've seen him talk about on the podcast. Yeah. And I was like, I wasn't mad, good for him. He's but it's like, if you want to be stand-up comic who also has a podcast to support himself, you need to write more.
Yeah.
A lot more.
And try not to burn that material.
Well, do what the Tom, Louis, Burr, Chappelle, you write an hour and then it's gone. Yeah. You don't.
Yeah. No,
to the point where a lot of them, I've seen Segura a number of times, like jogging his memory about a bit, and I'm sitting there like, I can tell you what's special and roughly the minute mark, but you're freeing up hard drive space for old material to make room for new shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, love Sickler. They're before this, like I can barely keep up with just a couple of them anymore because the backside of this is so much time.
Okay.
Like I just watched last week's Honeydew last night, way past my bedtime.
And you'll watch them?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, I mean, some of this, like, I mean, I'm taking it all in audio.
Yeah. And so the last week's was Pauly Shore.
Okay.
And I was like, this will be interesting. And I felt like it just felt one of those deals where like you kind of have a little notion of conviction about something, and then it kind of builds and builds and builds, and then maybe you look at the comments to see if it's being talked about.
Yeah.
And I just, the whole time I was like, I feel like this guy is completely full of shit. And that it kept building and building, and I scroll a little bit, and everybody's just, 150% praise. Like, so amazing. I was like, okay, maybe it's just me, but this feels so weird. Like, and like for a second, he said something about like, coming out as gay. And I was like, wait. And then they right to the next thing. And then I'm like, looking.
Pauly?
Yeah. And then I'm looking that up. And then, like, just randomly, Sickler asked him when he started using drugs. He's like, I was never a druggie. I'm like, have you ever watched your old MTV shit? Like,
The Weasel?
Yeah. Like, it looks like you really liked drugs back then. Maybe you didn't. I don't know.
Well, it was his mom that
Mitzi Shore, the store. Yeah.
What a weird way to grow up.
Yeah. Well, and his dad was a stand-up. I learned from that episode. Anyway, so I was, pretty religiously for a minute. Two Bears on Monday, Honeydew on Tuesday, Your Mom's House on Wednesday, and for a while, Segura was doing Tom Talks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good.
Those were so good.
Yeah.
And then, things with, I think, Bert's movie filming schedule and Tom's tour being as big as it is. Like, very clearly they're taping like back to back to back episodes. And they're just like coming up with shit. And I was like, not only is this not appealing, but Bert week by week is driving me a little bit more crazy than the previous week, to the point where I was like, you know what? I'll check every week, and if somebody different is in one of the two chairs, like last week Mark Normand was in the chair with Bert, and I was like, I'll watch that. But like the Kool-Aid, did you see the Kool-Aid one?
Oh yeah,
that was kind of the highlight for me for that. I mean, it's still good from time to time, but when it's Tom and somebody else, I think that's when it's its best.
Well, you get to hear Tom talk.
Yeah.
And I think he just gets a kick out of getting Bert going.
Oh,
I mean, there's
100%.
and they're
100%.
It's I mean, I love Bert. Bert actually came to BB's.
Wow.
He was.
Let's hold on that. I gotta let that dog out and pee, and you do whatever you. So Bert came to BB's.
Bert came to BB's
after this recent show.
No, this was. It's the one piece of footage I haven't been able to find that I've looked for. So he was filming his Bert the Conqueror.
Okay.
Where he just went around and to different amusement parks. I think it was his third TV show.
Okay.
He had Hurt Bert.
Yep.
Where his famous like bear wrestling story, Trip Flip, and then Bert the Conqueror.
Okay.
And so I think he was in town going to World's Fun to ride rides or whatnot. And then so he came back. Oh man, yeah, like just crazy. But he was back by the pit, looking at that, and he's trying to get stories out of like us fishing folks or whatnot. And he's like, any of you guys traded a barbecue for sex? And we're like, oh no, not really. And I was like, I've traded for drinks before though. I was like, I've brought in a slab of ribs, and gotten my tab bait for the night. And he's like, that's awesome.
Nice.
Like, ah. But I don't know. But, I haven't been able. I don't know if it ever aired or what, or it's just like hard to come by. But
right.
I mean, like we were on, Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives.
BB's was.
Wow. Yeah.
Did you appear in any?
I didn't. I wasn't in. No, I was at the American Royal.
Oh yeah.
I was cooking for, I think we'd done a catered party, and it was like cooking for like 200. So I wasn't there, but yeah.
What outfit were you part of? Were you Smoking
Dreams? Yeah.
How many years did you do that?
We're still at it.
Oh,
I mean, we
shit.
started in 2010, and so we're 12 years strong.
Now, like all of your Arrowhead, have you enjoyed every year the Royal? Is like,
I mean, we only did the Royal twice.
Okay.
We haven't done it since it moved from the West Bottoms.
Where is it now?
It's out at the Speedway.
That's right.
Which I've heard it's a pretty good setup. They had 1 year at Arrowhead, which I thought was going to be cool, but I guess they had issues with parking of all things. Like people getting in and out of there. It's like you've got the entire like Kaufman Sports Complex to park. But yeah, no. So we haven't done, and
but you go to
we would do like other contests around town, but it's something that we're probably going to come back to, like doing more. Like just all my friends right now have a few kids like under 10,
right?
So it's trying to get all of us, or at least 3 or 4 of us together for multiple weekends a year, to that their wives and are able to get away from their families, like barbecue and do barbecue things. So
wow,
it's tough.
Guys, have I seen you at St. E's?
Yeah. We've been a mainstay up there.
Yeah.
For and cooking against ourselves and our own good times. So in the other competitors up there, but yeah, no, I mean I love it. I mean that's and that's one thing with my fiance Kelly, like her family barbecued.
Oh,
and
really?
Barbecues, yeah. Like
God damn.
They're so like, I mean they're doing Lenexa. They actually won Lenexa. Yeah.
That's it's legit bragging rights if you win that shit.
A few hundred teams, like, and they won it. I don't know. I can't remember what year it was before we were together, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, so they're legit, So they're kind of feeling me out, as I'm like, hey, like I speak the same like I can talk to a barbecue,
right,
we speak the same language, like I'm not intimidated by like most of like the like best barbecuers,
Sure.
Like some I am. Like that was one person that came to BB's that could barely get a sentence out, was Bourdain. When he did, they filmed No Reservations there.
Really?
Yeah. And
fuck, I thought wait. So No Reservations, and then
Parts Unknown.
Parts Unknown. I watched way more of.
Yeah.
God, that was such a fucking fabulous program.
Just well done.
I mean, like level. Jaw on the floor. Yeah. Like how much I fucking learned. I got goosebumps. Yeah. And because it was very, very clearly about experiencing the culture and the people, and like the food was part of the mix, but it wasn't the whole lens. Yeah. And so many times I would watch and like he would just be overcome with joy because he got invited to eat a meal like in some fucking family's home.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was so. But I started to dive into No Reservations and something else, and I never. Yeah. But I didn't.
You can find the Kansas City episode.
Cool. Is it good stuff?
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I wasn't working that day, but I mean, there was no way that I was going to be up there. When he was there, and like one of the restaurants he was supposed to go to, like, I mean, this was years ago, but they tweeted about it. Big no. Like so he shuffled his whole schedule around, so we were supposed
to avoid insanity.
Yeah. So we were, and
I imagine his team probably covers that with you ahead of time.
It was a game time decision. Like we went from like, all right, he'll be here on Thursday, to I think it was all right. Like he bumped it up to Tuesday, and so we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna be pulling fresh brisket off the pit, like, and we didn't.
But his people probably say don't tweet about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't even think they went to that restaurant.
Right. Oops.
I am still jealous of Woodyard for that episode. Like, so when he came to BB's, he was talking to this guy Terrence O'Malley, who when I first started working there, he would play piano on Friday nights, and he'd sing the Redbridge Blues, and but Terrence is a great guy. But they were talking about like their mob tie-ins with Kansas City and everything. Well, cut to Woodyard Barbecue, and the Black Keys pulled up in their van from what was that, El Camino or whatnot, and like did a scene. I'm like, oh man, we were like one restaurant away from like not only Bourdain being there, but like the Black Keys too. Like, oh, it would have been. But I guess
you said you could barely.
I couldn't. I mean, I was just like nice to meet you. You know, like, I mean, I did.
What do you say?
Yeah, I did the same thing with Mick Foley too. I was like, those are my two that I was just, completely starstruck by: Anthony Bourdain and Mick Foley.
Nice, like so many other folks out there. Those two.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, this is a fascinating piece. Is what camp are people that say yes to doing this going to be in? Are they people that need to think before they choose records? Are they people that, come as close as you possibly can to saying, I just can't, there's too many, or I can't pick one, or what? Or people that have been waiting for somebody to ask them that question and they just have it ready to go. You took just a minute, but then you were like, here are my three. And one of my trips back to Durango, a friend burned me a whole big fucking stack of CDs, and like none of it, I'd heard of almost everybody, not quite everybody, but none of it had I listened to. And there were a couple, 2 or 3 My Morning Jacket CDs in there, and I was like, this isn't for me. I don't get it. So I just checked out. And I just carry that with me. Like, I was toying with the idea of hooking up with some buddies and going to the Innings Festival. And I was like, Tame Impala. I'm kind of really just
saw those guys at the Uptown. That was a great show.
No shit. Yeah. And somebody else was there, and MMJ was either like not on it, and then they got put on it, or somebody was like, I'm interested, and I was like, like they don't really. And so when I got Z, I was like, that title does not sound familiar. Yeah. So let's see what's up. And I start listening, and immediately I'm like, I like this. Yeah. And then I start looking. I'm like, oh, it was put out, like, it was the next album after I sat down with 1 or 2 records. Yeah. Yeah. And then like, what a trippy way it opens. Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Did I push the right button? Yeah. Like, I mean, they're from Louisville.
Yeah.
They've got 8 records and have had a few lineup changes. Oh shit, you brought vinyl.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. That's gorgeous. I mean, fucking album art, man. Like, what a way to I can't imagine if that, like, I mean, it's a lot different than the tape liner, like folding out the tape, the liner notes from a tape. Sure.
That tape.
But the contents usually match, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different feeling.
Just the feel of it, it's just completely different. Yeah. I actually had that poster up. It was my Dark Side of the Moon poster, sure. Like just pretty random as can be.
This and all I got was just an image of this on the streaming service, and I remember thinking that's a fascinating looking picture, but I couldn't see a lot of these details just with a quick glance. This is really cool.
Yeah.
I wondered what was in the bag. That's
so
awesome.
they were one of the bands that I actually missed at the festival at the one and only time I went to Bonnaroo. Like, they were the band on the other side of the place, that I missed, but I heard good things about their set, so like started listening to them from there on out. And then their record before this, like It Still Moves, it's the one with like the bear on the cover or whatnot, that but then their earlier stuff is kind of tougher to, like, I mean, it's not as easy of a listen. I mean, it's not as polished.
I didn't want to call it as less accessible, but I couldn't think of a substitute phrase. There I saw a 4-hour 35-song Bonnaroo set around 2008. Yeah. Is that what
No, I this was 2003 when Okay. And they were just, like they were, it was weird, like, I mean, working from like the jam scene on, like kind of like, like how like your just musical taste just kind of grows from there, but they were definitely adjacent to it, and they can still throw down for 4 hours, like at 2:00 in the morning in Manchester, but I mean, it was just one of those records that just kind of stuck with me from the get-go. It just like, I mean, like, like that question, like, what is it, what's your favorite record, like it's it's hard to like.
It's an awesome question, and it's also the worst question at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, if I understand correctly, they were some dudes from an emo punk band called Winter Death Club. And then that is considered their breakthrough deal. And like I said, man, I saw the name Wordless Chorus before I hit play, and I was like, that's cute. And I was like, oh, whoa, there's
some texture to it,
dude. It Beats for You has a cool sound to it. David Frick of Rolling Stone wrote, America is closer to getting its own Radiohead, and it isn't Wilco.
They're chasing that Radiohead title, huh?
So I don't know if they're chasing it, but like I've seen a lot of folks say that about Wilco, which I think was what this dude was getting to. But so yeah, I've heard the Wilco Radiohead thing before, but never with but you have heard people say that, have you felt that?
I've heard that more so with Wilco than these guys, but like, I mean, I'm not a big Radiohead fan.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that's one, and people are just like, what they don't believe, they're like, they just assume that, if it's like very adjacent to a lot of the things that I love. But,
I love OK Computer, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember my brother had the Bends, so we would listen to that, and then he got Pablo Honey.
Sure.
And, and it was like, I remember not liking Pablo Honey as much as the Bends. And then, OK Computer, like that music video. I mean, that was still when the cartoon, that was just a trip. That hit me at a fun point.
I'm sure.
I just never continued on with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk about accessibility. I mean, I kind of did a little bit of dabbling after OK Computer, and I think Kid A, and I was like, what is this? This is not for me. But I mean, they're still selling out stadiums or whatever, so like it's working for a lot of people.
And maybe it's a matter of just, I heard they put on a kick-ass live show.
Right.
I mean, you see somebody, I mean, that's, as many shows as you go to, like, it's hard to, it's more disappointing to see somebody that doesn't put on a good live show.
Right.
That you're like excited for, and you're just like, oh man, like, and it doesn't, I mean, it's fewer and far between, I feel like, as if you curate your, where you're going and different times or whatnot. But
there's a track on there called Gideon that's got a riff in there that sounds like that Alan Parsons Project, like sport, like Arrowhead sports venue, that, you know what I'm talking about? And it doesn't stay, but it kind of dips into that like early and then late, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
The Bonnaroo thing, and then I see a residency at a place called Terminal 5 in New York where they played an album a night, and then maybe some other tracks that they had kind of written around the time that they were. I was like, that's the fucking coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. So have you checked out Jim James' solo stuff?
Yeah.
And?
It's more spotty for me. I mean,
Regions of Light and Sound of God.
Yeah.
What?
He played at the Crossroads.
Okay.
A few summers back, and it was a good show. It just wasn't as powerful. I mean, his voice is just. I mean, they were on an episode of American Dad, the cartoon.
Yes, I saw that.
And it's just like, and it's. I don't even know. I haven't watched it enough to even know what the dad's name is or whatnot. But the American Dad is just like. He's got the voice of an angel, like they just, you could probably, I'm sure, find that clip on YouTube, My Morning Jacket on American Dad. But I mean, just that blend with like the dual guitar, like I love it,
I don't know if this is related to his solo stuff or not, but I wrote down collaboration with Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
I guess that's been
the new Basement Tapes. If you're not familiar with that, I mean, like, I mean, the song that hits us is the Marcus Mumford's, Kansas City, like going back. But he collaborated on that with like the guys from Dawes.
Nice.
And another one of his side project, Monsters of Folk.
Okay.
It's like him, Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes.
Okay.
One of the other guys from Bright Eyes. And shit, who's the fourth guy? I forget who the fourth guy.
Okay.
But another good project or whatnot.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess they just put out their 9th in October.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good stuff?
Yeah.
Self-titled, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating choice to go self-titled after 8 records.
Yeah, they had like the Waterfall 2 or the Waterfall 1, Waterfall 2, and then I haven't delved into the new one as much. Yeah,
but you have kind of given it an introductory listen.
Yeah,
interesting.
And that's kind of goes back to I probably made like some random cook at BB's listen to this record 12 times. Hey, it's if it's in the CD book, like we're listening to it,
I like there were some jazzy keys to the finish of Off the Record.
Yeah.
Followed by some cool church organ keys to start off Into the Woods. Yeah. I mean, a lot to like about this record.
Into the Woods has something that will turn off the casual listener. There's a line about a baby in a blender.
Yes, I heard that, and then the follow-up line supports. I can't remember the follow-up line, but I was like, oh yeah, I heard that right.
My friend's wife, she just like that immediately turned her off of this record. It's like I'm done. I'm like I'm understandable. Like I mean, it's like like the one line. I'm like, oh yeah,
Their wiki called this, or said this is the 4th studio album by the psychedelic rock band. Yeah. Is that? Do you call them that?
I mean,
it's sort of like you said, adjacent to the jam scene.
They dip into Southern rock.
Right.
Times, there's country elements to them. There's folk is big, but and then you have those are arena rock moments.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the bands that see in a theater, saw them at the Uptown and then saw them at the Starlight, and that's about. I don't think they're next step up would be a big festival or something with more people or whatnot. But.
So different feels to both of the venues for you?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And are they aware of that too and sort of putting on the shows differently, or are they just doing their thing and it's up to you to decide?
Yeah. That one, their Starlight show was off of Evil Urge's album.
Okay.
And so they were right. Coming off of that. What bummed me out, that one was Band of Horses opened up for him for that show. And it was nobody was digging that set.
Nobody was digging the Band of Horses set?
Everybody was sitting down, yeah. And it's I had just seen them play some legendary shows, like one in particular up at Lollapalooza.
Band of Horses?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a fan.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Their lineup, Band of Horses lineup's ever changing.
Really?
Their lead singer's I guess not the easiest person to work with, and has I think it's gained some consistency or whatnot, but they're and I'd put their first 2 albums up against
okay.
Just about anyway.
We one of the biggest challenges to doing this is trying to sort of keep on track, and it's all the tangents are always fun, but along the way I miss a detail or two, and you said something a minute ago about how I think you said it's weird, I don't listen to music during a certain driving or at work or something, but you used to. I've been searching for a way, and I think this podcast is sort of fills that, is feeding that hunger a little bit too, but I've been searching for a way to have new music dumped into my life for a long time. I one time I got 1 or 2 playlists from you, and I was like, well, this will be it. I'll just lean heavily on Joe, and a lot of new stuff will come my way, and some I will like and some I won't. And sometimes you'll see somebody on social media be like, I need new, can anybody? And sometimes people in the comments will whatever. But I just randomly came across this playlist on Spotify, and it's all of the walk up, intermission, and post second set music that Fish has played from 2009 to current, and like it's so fucking. I mean, it's like 10,500 hours, like 550 records. And so I don't pay for Spotify, but I can still listen on shuffle.
With something like that, like why not?
Dude,
I mean, that's
dude.
Yeah.
So when I hear, when I have, who the fuck is this moment? I just add it to my stream, the one I do pay for, and then it's just in the mix, and I get in the car, and sometimes the kids will pick what we're gonna listen to. Sometimes I feel like something, but more often than not, I just let shuffle roll.
Yeah.
And but I've added over 100 records to from that playlist, and it's funny. I think maybe a week ago, because I just let it play in my kitchen 24/7, unless I specifically want to listen to something else. And I think I've probably been listening to it for 7 or 8 months, and I think just last week was the first time that I made it to the end. The only other times is if I want to listen to something or the Wi-Fi goes out or something, and it didn't always do this, but a couple months ago, if the Wi-Fi would cut out, or if I would switch it up, and then when I inevitably come back to it, it goes to general specific every time. The songs that follow aren't the same, but just jing jing, so it's just hilarious. So that's funny though. Like people were not into that,
and then just like completely. Funny story about Band of Horses, like a little side quest here.
I love it.
Yeah, so Lollapalooza 09 went up there specifically because Beastie Boys were headlining.
In 09.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like they were hitting the festival circuit. I forget what record they were
I was
playing
just wondering the same thing.
Yeah, like I think it might, I want to say 2 of the 5 boroughs, but I don't know if that's right. But they played Bonnaroo. They shredded. Like I just remember specifically looking at that schedule, and they played like head to head against David Byrne, and I'm like,
the Beasties.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you decide? Like like when a lineup's like that good, you're like what do you do?
Send your buddy and FaceTime each other.
Yeah. But they I got sick, and they ended up canceling their performance at Lollapalooza that year.
You got sick, or they?
When MCA got and he went downhill pretty fast after they announced it. But I
didn't even remember he was sick.
Yeah.
Until you just said. I felt like he just one day he was dead.
Yeah.
But wow, okay.
And and I had tickets, like they were playing, I forget, like the Vic Theater or something up there, for like a late night show. I was like gonna be a Beastie Boys weekend. I was geeked out because like the only other time I remember them coming to town was I guess they played Kemper Arena, and Tribe Called Quest opened up for them, like on like the Love Movement, like Hello Nasty record. Tour. I'm like, records. Oh yeah, like so it's like when you catch bands like after like they put out something where like their set list is just gonna be heavy on like something that it's the best. Like
hell yeah.
But when like I was like bummed, obviously because he got sick, and then that never had a chance to see him after the fact. But Band of Horses was one of those shows that I was like, all right, well we're gonna like circled. I wanted to see them because I've been missing them. Like they opened up for like Modest Mouse here, and I missed them or something. They just kept on missing them and missing them. But they're cool. Like they've got like a band shell up in Grand Park that like the best sound at the whole festival it's like their permanent stage that they have. Like,
oh wow!
Band of Horses was playing there. It was like right before the headliner, which was Jane's Addiction. The guys that like started Perry
Farrell and
started Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
But the guys that were who was playing before Band of Horses was Lou Reed, and so we were like, all right, like. We're going, like, obviously we're going to go see Lou Reed, like, when else, and, sure enough, he passes away, like, a few years after that, But like the one and only time opportunity you ever see somebody like that, you just got to jump on it. But he came out late. He played late. He was like 30 minutes overtime by the time, he started like Walk on the Wild Side.
Lou Reed. Okay.
Yeah. And
was it a good set though?
Oh, it was a good set. Yeah. And so,
what a wild dude.
Yeah.
I mean, are you a big Velvet fan?
In and out. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I asked this question to somebody that picked a Velvet record. Has there ever been a band name where the name sounded more like the name matches the sound?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're the Kings.
Yeah.
Like they're like Bob Marley legend of greatest hits. Like, come up with a band name where the name of your band sounds more like your sound than the Velvet Underground.
Oh,
and
for sure.
I mean, self-titled is just kind of just low. I mean, the Nico stuff, and then what was it, White Hot White Heat? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then
like Loaded,
right?
Loaded's the one. Yeah,
yeah.
I know. I think Fish has done that on Halloween before.
I thought they did
musical costume.
Did they do Loaded, or did they do White Heat, White Light?
No, I'm not.
I think it was 96 in Atlanta, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not sure which record
Yeah.
they did though. But man, this is the first. This is their fourth, but it's the first one they had a professional producer.
Yeah.
Produce, and that I didn't write down the person's name, but they worked with Pink Floyd and Radiohead and George Harrison.
John Leakey.
Okay.
Leachy. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that.
Sounds right. But I mean, if this is their breakthrough, and you said some of their earlier stuff is kind of like, well,
yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah, like before this, yeah, It Still Moves is what my introduction, like first, like full introduction. Like I went out and bought that. I remember buying that at Borders. That CD. Tennessee Fire. Before that, it starts getting a little like more on the folky country side.
Okay.
And then, like the early stuff, I don't even listen to. Like they didn't. I mean, it's nothing you're gonna hear live.
Makes
really.
you wonder if they would have hired a professional producer, would it have sounded any different, or was it just where they were material wise, and it was gonna get where it was gonna get regardless of the producer? But I thought that was a fascinating, because I mean, producers, like, that is whether you're opening vinyl or opening the cassette liner notes, like, that is not a credit or a listing that I gave any energy to for years, until you're long enough in the tooth in your musical career that your names like Rick Rubin and some of the dudes that did the dude that did a bunch of Floyd records, you start like, oh, they can very much push the needle or ride with it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of fascinating elements go into the producer and how the thing sound. I mean, crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's one of the highest rated records of 2005, behind an album called Illinois by an artist named Sufjan Stevens.
Sufjan Stevens.
Sufjan?
Yeah. Hello Field, Illinois.
I mean, never heard of that person.
Oh yeah, check out Chicago from that record. It's a good one. He's weird. So there used to be online service, iTunes, opened up their musical, and started selling records or whatnot, as everybody's just still doing like their bootleg thing. But there was a company called eMusic, and they were just focused on independent record labels.
Okay.
So that's where their pool was, and until like they finally like opened up to some majors, and you could, but instead of buying like per album, you bought credits, and
wow.
So you'd get like for $10 you get 50 credits, and like an album might cost you like 5 to 10 credits or something. So you're getting like 5 albums for $10 a month, and so a lot of those, like, and their editors did a really good job like curating things, like coming through the pipeline and
Wow.
whatnot. And that's how he even like ended up finding Gaslight Anthem was through eMusic.
Okay.
It was just their editor's choice for the week, you know. And
wild.
Yeah.
Huh. So the vocals on Anytime took me back to the sound of when I first listened to them and was like, no.
Yeah.
Which was because that's late in the record and I'm enjoying, and I didn't dislike it, but I was like, this feels very familiar to. Anyway, just random. Pitchfork Media called this their OK Computer, which again, the Radiohead. So do you like the way it ends, specifically like the last 3 tracks?
Yeah,
you do.
Those are some ragers, like live.
Really? Because they're relatively chill.
Yeah,
on there.
Yeah, they blow them up live.
Wow.
Yeah.
How crazy. Okay.
Like Knot Comes Loose, like that. And yeah, Lalo and
Don Date.
Yeah.
Which I didn't find that anywhere. Like I was like, what is that Latin? What does that mean? It appears to just apply to that track. Like, but really weird sound spectrum, and then the solo feels very Led Zeppelin for a second when they were like whatever hanging mics and stairwells and messing with production, and it was kind of like, whoa. For a minute I felt like I was transported, you know. I think they had the same producer across all their records, which
it's just crazy how much it can like steer. And I mean, yeah, like you said, like, I mean, hip hop was when I really, you know, started thinking about who produces what, you know, like, I mean, going back, you know, to, you know, License to Ill,
right?
Like, I mean,
right.
and then what's it's a mini series on HBO where it follows like Jimmy Iovine, he produced like Fleetwood Mac and like Tom Petty and like, I mean, and then it leads, he founded Interscope Records. So it leads to him, you know, discovering Dr. Dre, and then it's I should look up the title, but it is worth like.
This is an HBO series.
HBO series, yeah. Gosh, yeah, I'll give it to you afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it you know, it's, you know, I mean, you know, 9 Inch Nails is on there, you know, like, I mean, to Marilyn Manson, to Eminem, you know, like he just had a hand, like Jimmy Iovine, like had a hand in like all that in founding. But it was probably one of the better musical like series that I've seen in years.
Yeah, you know, this is. I don't know if this is like looking at the world through my perpetually fish-rooted lens, or if it's because, you know, grad school and getting married and all that jazz was happening. But you've got an 01, an 05, and an 08 ish, and to me, again, I don't know why, but like I circle that stretch of years on my musical journey as like, there wasn't a whole lot of really great shit coming out, but I could have that could be that I literally just had my head in the sand.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was seeing more concerts in that window
probably
than I've ever, you know, like that.
So, I think the streaming thing said 07 and the wiki search said 08 for the 59 sound by Gaslight Anthem. So I'm not sure exactly which, but there we go from Louisville, Kentucky to New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Yeah. Some, I don't even know that. I don't think I opened that.
I'm so glad you did this. This is great.
So, I mean, New Jersey, like, they're, you know, main influence is Bruce Springsteen.
I mean,
like, it's just, I mean, you might as well just like,
dude,
they embrace it. Like,
okay. Like, I kept, you know, I've never heard of these guys. So I was like, what's this going to be? And very early, I was like getting a drip of familiarity. And I was like, I don't know where to put that. And then I saw a couple things, and then I think that the main dude, like they took a break, and he was pissed because people were asking him to play Springsteen. He's like, my name's not Bruce.
Yeah.
And then and then I keep reading and keep listening, and in both forms, that's what I keep coming back to. I'm like, well, what are you doing then?
Yeah.
Like, if that's upsetting to you, then change it a little bit.
I mean, the few times I've seen them, like they've done like Tom Petty covers, you know.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, like
cool stuff. Side One Dummy Productions.
Yeah.
Like, I immediately go to like, what is that? You know, is that two dudes being like, what side of the record was that one track on? And the other guy's like, side one, dummy. Yeah. Is that, you know, I don't know where that like comes from. But so they 5 records from 07 to 14, sprinkling of hiatuses. And then they announced just a couple of months ago that they're back together again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. They're coming in the Midland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So we saw them, the Belmont Club, one of those.
You and Kelly?
No, this
Buddies.
Was Buddies. Shout out to Mike Morris.
Oh shit, Beaumont Club is that's way in the past.
I think Travis. I think the 4 of us went to that one. That was a fun show
for everybody.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. Yeah, we they played at that same Lollapalooza, like a little midday set. You know, like just really like made the most out of that. I mean, like under, you know, like I was still butthurt about the Beastie Boys after, you know, like after, and they're like, oh, did you miss anybody? I was like, yeah, Beastie Boys. And like, you know, like,
just a little tiny little outfit. You may have heard of them.
Yeah. I mean, but like, yeah, like, I mean, there was some cool stuff there. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Fleet Foxes, Bonavar. We saw Fleet Foxes at the Metro.
How was that?
It was badass.
Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my buddy had heat exhaustion that
day.
Man. So we weren't like, it wasn't in. Fleet Foxes isn't a raging show anyway, so it was probably the best place. I mean, all of our other friends went to Sound Tribe. And
oh shit!
Yeah, it was two different animals as far as like after shows go.
Wow!
But,
oh my god!
These guys, it's just one of those things, you know, like you get burnt out on, you know, jam music after a while. I mean,
well, there's only so much of it.
You know, I don't know. I mean,
I have. In that cabinet with the CD project that I've never, I bet I have 4, maybe 5 Sound Tribe records, and there's 1, possibly 2 that have like a lot of tracks, and then some stuff I'm like, dude, I don't, you lost me there, but they're not, you know, somebody I'm gonna go to. Just casual listening wise, super often. They're more like the occasional dive in and really like scratch all the itches, and then I'm out of that for a long time. And you know, I still love like, you know, I still love some Dave, some Blues Traveler. Still love some early studio Widespread. I love Medeski, Martin and Wood, but I mean. Those are like, if you, and I don't know otherwise, you know, kind of 91, 92 Horde Fest was kind of the birth of the whole thing. And however many names came out of that womb, a few were fantastic, but that's only one scope. You know, like there's only so much of it that's really amazing that you.
And then like, and their influence is based on what they were listening to.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like Medeski and jazz, you know, like Widespread and, you know, Southern rock and, you know, Fish and Zappa and like whatever.
And the Dead. Have you ever seen Bittersweet Motel?
I have, yeah. Okay. It's been years.
Okay.
So
I watch it pretty much like once a year.
Yeah.
And there's a great scene. Trey's leaving like his home to go wherever, and I think he's in like one of those old Isuzu Troopers or something like that, and the crew is in the car with him, and he's like, you know, he's trying to drive out of this woodsy Vermont area that he lives in to get to wherever they're going, and talking about that, like these guys, whoever they were listening to, and these guys were and now you've arrived at me, and I'm the '80s kid from New Jersey that went to the mall, and I'm on the map, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And I was listening to fucking blah blah blah, and then it's gonna be somebody, it's fascinating.
It's great.
It's like a family tree that just keeps blossoming,
And that's such an attractive part about that scene, especially like the years that was hitting it, because you'd be exposed to like the Meters, or like just straight up like New Orleans, royalty. I mean,
dude, I went and saw them at Jazz Fest in New Orleans in '95. I think I barely had discovered the Meters prior to that trip. I mean, like, and I don't know, like, I might be sitting here, who are the Meters? All these years later, if you don't kind of just veer from one, tributary to the next, I don't know.
But yeah, then, it's just great. I mean, what's your favorite Fish record?
Probably Junta. Okay. I mean,
when did you catch on?
Senior year, '93. Somebody played some bootlegs.
So what was that? Was that
that's Rift? Yeah. So after, so that's the first one I got. And I think, honestly, I might have worked backwards by accident. I definitely remember. And still to this day, this rings true a little bit. I remember getting Picture of Nectar and being like, whoa, like that is a lot to unpack. There is so much happening in there, and kind of just being like, I'll revisit this a little bit later. And then I don't remember if I got Junta or Lawn Boy next, but they were 3 and 4.
Okay.
And Lawn Boy felt much more accessible. Like it jived with me first, and then Junta eventually. I was like, this is a masterpiece. Yeah. I mean, I don't love every second of it.
Yeah.
But there are very admirable, respectable qualities to.
Do you find yourself going back and listening to studio albums from them at all?
Well, always.
Yeah.
But I
mean, like somebody like that, which their music is best ingested live, I would say.
See, that's like the final 3 tracks of Z. I'm like, this felt like a departure, and it was different, and you're like, I love it. They really blow them up. So the thing about Fish in the live segment for me is that you come with your relationship to the song or the songs that you forged by consuming the studio stuff. I mean, that's how I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I was built while I was, becoming a student of their discography. I was listening to live stuff too. Yeah. But to me, and a lot of the conversations in this podcast have kind of been about like, this whole idea of writing a record and hoping that a label signs you so they can pony up for studio time so you can, as a unit, go in and record this record and blah, blah, blah. And how do you stay close to budget? How many fights do you have? Do you break up after that? And are things great and you're touring in support of the album versus is that a relic? Is that, are people steering away from dropping albums and dropping tracks or finding some independent person to produce shit for you and then you just put it out yourself? But I really love the romantic in me loves that idea of a band that writes a record together and records it in the studio, and that's how I grew up consuming music. And
I mean, my first exposure to Fish was Farmhouse.
Oh wow, okay.
So that's when I picked up on it.
Yeah.
And then then just delved into like their live series.
Fucking fantastic.
I mean, and like you said, accessible is pretty. It's pretty.
Farmhouse is very accessible,
pretty accessible.
And I think they've bounced. I think they've had different producers for almost every record, and like they choose people. You know, like the dude Steve Ezrin, I think, produced Billy Breathes, which is also an amazing record.
Yeah.
But it's got that record has a very specific, unique sound to it. So I don't, or Steve Lillywhite, I think. And I don't know all the, you know, reasons why. I only understand it from a very basic level. But I mean, Farmhouse, like, that opening riff, welcome, and it worked for the whole fucking record, even though there's like sand and tube and some shit where they really fucking like they take a way different direction from Farmhouse, but you know the whole thing works. I mean, Heavy Things, In-Law, Josie Wales, Sleep.
Yeah.
That whole idea, and that's a really good scene in Bittersweet Motel where he's sitting with his guitar. He's like, the new one, you know, some of the guy says, what about the lyrics? Yeah. You know, because there's always these people that want to say Fish sucks because their lyrics are garbage. Yeah. And he's like, no, I think that Tom is a genius, Tom Marshall. Yeah. And he's like the one we just wrote. It's about that idea of you wake up and you've got this idea and all the details are so clear and they're right there. And by the time you're awake, you can barely remember what the dream is about. He writes songs about those kind of feelings. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And he fucking crushes it. Like, that is a gorgeous. Yeah. But anyway.
No, I mean, for me, I mean, obviously like Fish, but like Mo is my jam band of choice.
Man.
Like,
get out of here. I just fucking added a Mo record because of that playlist.
Like that was when I like picked up on them. This was like 90, I think 98. But like, I mean, they're my Fish, I guess you could say. Like they never really reached the levels of, but in their own, you know, but one of their things, not that particular album, but their album Wormwood, they tried to bring in their live performance into it, you know, like, and like, yeah, and it's like,
did it work?
It worked. Okay. Yeah, it holds up pretty well. But like, I mean, some of the
Stranger Than Fiction as a lead off track. There's a Spoon album with that name, and then a cool, was it Will Ferrell movie?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah,
that was a great fucking movie.
Yeah. This was their I think Sony. This was a Sony record, or no, Epic. Yeah, Epic through Sony. So their major label, and Stranger Than Fiction was the lead single off of it. But it's just interesting to see like how those songs like get, you know, brought in, and then, you know, like what the fans' response is to, you know, new, like the fan bases, like
that's the so I had that experience with this playlist being on shuffle and be like, who's it? And Mo? Holy shit, I've seen them like 3 times and I don't know their studio shit worth shit. But the album that was playing, and then I since added it, it's called No Doy.
Oh, yeah.
The cover. Just this fucking goofy looking dude with some blue makeup around his eyes. I have always, being a language person, I've always really liked the all lowercase with the period. Yeah. That's fucking sharp. But they, yeah, man, I don't, I want to say Big Summer Classic 05, Red Rocks 8 or 12, I don't know, a lot of bands. Was one where I think they were at, and I saw maybe 1 or 2 Wakarusas, and always being like, fucking yeah, these, and then like privately, you know, like try and start to dig in and being like, this doesn't feel like what I saw, and then I just check out and never go. So never really gave a fair chance. But I've had a lot of experiences where I'm like, fuck yeah, these guys. It probably doesn't help that the times that I have encountered them out in the wild, it's an all day or an all weekend, and I got a wheelbarrow full of bad decisions that I'm walking around with the whole time, and so who knows what I actually come home with. But
I'm trying, like, I think the first time I saw them was Blue Note in Columbia, which is still probably my favorite venue.
It's a great venue.
I mean, that size, you know, it was the first night I drank beer. Yeah, I didn't think I could burp when I was in high school. So like, if
you
like,
never drank in high school,
I drank. If I drank hard liquor. So those
Oh,
nights were
wow.
few and far between. Yeah, Southern Comfort had a couple battles with the old SoCo.
Oh, man.
Those were some. But yeah, I looked around and
How do you start drinking hard liquor
I mean,
and land on Southern Comfort
Yeah.
in high school?
Yeah.
Like beer is. I mean, we talk about accessible.
yeah.
Beer's-
Well, and I always drove. So I mean, my friends would they'd have their cases of Natty or
Yeah.
Keystone or
Yeah.
something, and I didn't mind driving, so I drove.
Okay.
It made it easier. And then, but the nights that I drank were just. They just don't. It's not the way to.
You
dip
and
your
Janice.
toe. It's not the way to dip your toe in. Yeah, like.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I remember being at that show in Columbia and like looking around and like all of my friends had like pictures of like Boulevard Wheat, and I'm like, damn it, I need to start drinking beer. And so I went and got a cup, and then I've been drinking beer since.
Nice.
Yeah, went and saw them in Liberty Hall the next night.
Ooh.
And then
that is an epic.
It's just a great run, and I missed them at had friends from St. Louis that did the pageant to Blue Note to
Another
Liberty
great
Hall.
venue. I've
never been to any shows at the pageant.
Oh, I've seen Segura there. I've seen Railroad Earth there. Those might be my only two, but love that venue. Anyway, so I'm listening to this record, and immediately I'm like, the English writing nerd in me is like, oh, New Jersey guys with Charles Dickens references with Great Expectations, and then Stella is in there. And then immediately I'm like seeing the Springsteen references, and then Old White Lincoln. I'm like, that's where I first am like, that's tracking. Mm-hmm. So are you a Springsteen fan? Start with a sigh. I know where you're going.
Somebody turned me on to, what is it, The Wild
and blah blah blah, and the E Street Band.
The E Street Band, Rosalina, like that. I mean, it was unavoidable. Like, I mean, he was unavoidable. I mean, as far as Born to Run. I mean, I'm gonna piss some people off. I'm not trying to shit on Bruce Springsteen, but he's never. I mean, I've never really sought him out, and we just kind of missed each other.
I've had this conversation with other people that have done this very thing. I've had like 2 or 3 moments, in the last 15, 20 years where I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. I'm going to become, and I dive in. I'm like, no, it's just not. And that record will drop shuffle track. I think maybe it's the only one in my Apple right now. But every time I'm driving, I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, I can hear the da-da, and like the horn, and I'm just like, no, I don't. The first time I really tried hard, I did appreciate Nebraska, which I think a lot of Springsteen-ites, that's where they want to guide you. Mm-hmm. But I do remember feeling like some kind of like peaceful, tranquil, like connected to nature kind of. But beyond that, I mean, and in 88, or 89, somewhere, I was in 7th grade. Brilliant Disguise came out. I think that's the name. But there was 2 tracks off of that record that they were huge hits, and I really liked them. I like, a lot of the material on Born in the USA, but outside of that, it's just not for me. And like it continued, like Joe Posnanski, you know who that guy is?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a long time. It was always Posnanski and Whitlock with the editorial pieces on the sports page of the Star. And he's put out a Buck O'Neill book, and then he put out a book on the 72 Reds, the machine, something like that. But then, he left KC and he's back in like North Carolina now and writing for, I think he writes for, I'm forgetting the streaming service that he writes for. Anyway, he's always been just, and talking, I think they're one of their token E Street, like a horn player like died not too long ago.
Yeah.
Everybody was writing tomes, and I'm just like, it's clearly for a lot of people. I'm just not one of them.
Did you ever see the video of him sitting with fish at Bonnaroo?
I did. That would have been like 08, 09,
Yeah.
10.
He had a pretty memorable exchange with Paige.
What was it?
He's just like, play it, keyboard guy, and then Paige is just like, we sell as many tickets as you, like I have a name,
guy.
like.
Oh my god!
It's not the guy in the shadows over here, like.
There's I don't remember exactly what the deal is, but there's footage of like Trey is at I think he's a Flyers fan, Philadelphia Flyers, and he's at a game, or maybe he's at the Rock and Roll. Anyway, he's watching this video tour happen, and his face is in a picture in a frame as part of this tour, and so he's just at a curiosity stake. He's kind of just lurking undetected and watching as they approach. And so the tour guide finishes the piece about the picture before his, and so now it's okay. So all this build up, talking to all these great things, and finally he goes, and here he is, Eric Clapton. Trey's just like, all right, man, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck. But
cheesecake.
yeah. Miles Davis and the Cool, really cool title track or title for a song. I'm a huge, like, that's the kind of shit that catches my eye. So even Cowgirls Get the Blues, I was like, oh, I like that too. And then I listened to it, and I think that might be my favorite track on the record.
The more I delve into this, like, my favorite track changes, constantly.
Never been to Jersey, but that record feels like if there's a soundtrack for it, that's probably it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a track with I can totally hear a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones dude doing. Do you know what I'm talking about? You remember when the Boss Tones? Right?
Yeah.
And they were kind of like they were like ska. They were always like at the top of that.
Yeah, like Real Big Fish. Like yeah.
But then they put out a record in the late '90s that like launched them into
with the impression that I get.
Yeah, and so the guy never had to. There's that dude has a backing vocal on that track, which is
he's on.
Yeah, it's unmistakable.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, holy
on
shit.
Which one?
The Patient Ferris Wheel.
Okay.
Whatever the refrain is, maybe it's a 2 or 3 line refrain, and he repeats one of the lines just a few times. But I was like, that's the Boston dude right there. Did you have a ska phase ever?
No. Yeah, I had that tape. I had, it just missed me.
What about surf rock?
No, not really. I mean, I love Pet Sounds. I don't know if that counts, right. But,
Meet Me by the River's Edge. That's where I was like, Springsteen is bleeding more into this album as the track listing progresses. Mm-hmm. And by that point, I'm like, how did you ever get mad? Yeah. Like, here's Looking at You, Kid, sweet track, a nice change of pace for the record. So, man, like I said, I had no idea what to expect, and I would never have guessed that would have been.
And it was their first of like 3 just banger records. Like
really,
but
their second overall.
Second. I think they had an EP before, and of course I'm drawing a blank. But American Slang came out after this, and they gained.
Speaking of name, another great title. I mean, somebody in there has got a little bit of wordsmith in them, and they're crushing it.
Yeah.
With the track titles and even the fucking, what is it, the 59 sound? Like, I don't know that I ever get the sound of the record to match that title, but it's a fucking killer title. It makes me think of like we're just on the other side of Frankie Avalon and driving diners where the girl roller skates out and shit like that, to it's the 59. Now we're rolling into the 60s, and you thought that was a change. Be ready for what's ahead. So I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, cool stuff. So we had 05 and 07, 08, and then 01. When did Wilco first come across?
Right around the time when Yankee came out. Yeah.
So we had the 59 sound by Gaslight Anthem, My Morning Jacket Z, and then Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco. So right around the time this record comes out, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. May I please? This cover, I'm such a sucker for cover art.
Yeah.
And this is so what? But I love it.
Yeah. I love that record. I find myself with Ghost is Born coming back to that more than their record after that. And then Being There also, coming back to that 3 album stretch. But say they and then just not knowing. I mean, I didn't realize,
Have you ever read this? Obviously, somebody got to it.
Yeah.
But Jerzy Kosinski being their really, really, really cool book.
Okay.
And they made it into a movie, and Peter Sellers plays the lead. The movie is also fantastic. Yeah. But that's the inspiration for the title, which I learned because somebody else also picked Yankee.
I saw. Oh, yeah, I
did. I send you stuff?
No,
did you find it on your own?
From following it on YouTube, I saw that come up, so I was like, I'm gonna.
Oh, I didn't.
That's why I threw in the Mo record just in case.
Okay,
I was like, get the Jam Band Studio album.
There you
conversation
go.
Going.
Nice. But, I love it. I mean, for a second there, I was like, stop talking about fish. Stop talking about. I just felt myself diarrheaing. But I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
Same trip, same collection of burn CDs,
Yeah.
dude. And I was like, not for me.
Yeah.
And then somebody picked it, and so I went through it, and I was like, well, I fucking like this too. This is, I don't remember, and this was definitely one of the records that was given to me that I put in, and it just, I mean, sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But this record is not only good, but it's packed full of oddities.
Yeah. And then just the backstory behind the record too.
Exactly.
They made a whole movie about it. They got dropped from the record label. They bought the same record label, bought it back. Just the ultimate. Jeff's battles that he was having throughout there. I forget where he saw his name on CNN, on the ticker. it's like Jeff Tweedy Wilco enters rehab. He's like, oh man.
Oh, I didn't come across that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not sure if it was this time frame or just shortly. I think it was.
Was he booze or what was his
pills?
Pills.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. The dang old
oxys and shit like that.
Shit, yeah. Yeah, it was. I forget. It's a live record or something. Somebody throws him a big nug up on stage, and he's like, oh well, thank you, but he's like, I just got out of rehab. You might have seen me. That's what it was. He's on the record. He's like, you might have seen me, and my name was on the ticker on CNN. Yeah, but there's a few bands that just like these guys, Drive By Truckers. Are
you an Isbell fan?
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah. I mean, they got me, Southern Rock Opera and then Dirty South. And I mean, I'll put those 3 records, and just, up against just about anything, and again, another one, if you've never seen that movie, there's a movie about, a Drive By Truckers movie about that specific time. And, young Jason,
Dude, the dude that was at the Broncos fan that was, he did episode 1. He brings it up, which by the way, I lost video.
Okay.
Or in his episode, I looked up at the hour 15 mark, and I was like, oh shit! And he's like, oh, mine's been gone for a half hour. Fuck. But anyway, he tells me he brings up this Drive By Truckers documentary, and they filmed Isbell getting fired from the band in the documentary, and then it stayed in there.
He was married to the bass player. I mean, Shauna Tucker.
Right.
I mean, and she stayed and had did another record or two with him. Like, I mean,
awkward.
Yeah. And then, he goes off with like the 400 unit and like, I mean, just like I've, following and then his like level right now.
Do you, gun to your head, you have to choose Drive-By Truckers or solo Isbell stuff?
I'm taking the Truckers, man.
No shit.
I'm taking the Truckers.
Wow.
It's, I mean, and I love that, but I can't like Women Without Whiskey, like
I haven't ever.
Lonely, like give me Goddamn Lonely Love over Stockholm. Like I mean, it's like if I have to, like I love Outfit. Like that's one of my favorite. Like don't call I'm wearing an outfit. Like don't ever say your car's broke.
Right.
Call your sister on her birthday. Like those are just what you do. Like, and that's what like the part of that movie was they're just like. They like Patterson Hood and Mike Cooley, were two of like the more prolific like songwriters like in that like little running circle. And then they're like fuck you guys added this guy to that band. Like what's up with like I mean, it's like I mean they were at their like apex like in that.
Whoa. And
I mean I keep on going back to the Beaumont Club. Like I miss that place, but I went there to go buy tickets to Robert Randolph and the Family Band and the box office, and they were tuning up Truckers, like that era, like Truckers, were like tuning up, and I was like, shit, that sounds good, like, and that was like
sound check,
their sound check, like caught their sound check, and it was like one of those like put a pin in, and then next thing you know, I'm at Borders, buying like the double, Southern Rock Opera.
Wow.
Like,
God, is that's where I should start?
I mean, it's those three records, like, and I don't even know that Isabel was even on Southern Rock Opera, but yeah, I mean, I'd consider that like, I mean, you go back to like Pizza Deliverance and stuff, it's a little, not as accessible, but like, I mean, concept record, I mean, like, like the duality of the South, like Bear Bryant and, oh gosh, forget all the other things that go along with the South. But, oh man, and then it was crazy. I mean, like traveling, like was in Charleston for a friend's wedding, and like the bar band is like playing trucker songs. And
shit.
I'm like, what? Like this is like it's just, like you don't realize like like here and I mean the regions where it's like okay they're like on a different level down there.
Who gets the credit for Danko and Manuel? Is that 400 unit, or is
that's Truckers?
That's a fucking killer tune, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, Never Gonna Change.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I've never seen Isbell solo.
I have. I saw him at Red Rocks.
Okay.
So I was out for 3 nights of Fish, and then like the night after their third night, he was playing Red Rocks, and Amy Mann opened for him. Do you know who that is?
From Magnolia.
Dude, that's
Magnolia.
One is her cover of One Is the Loneliest Number, and It's Not Going to Stop.
Yeah.
Those two tracks, that record, like so many things, like Quiz Kid Donnie Smith. I do have love to give. I just don't know where to put it. And then the fucking
Macy, man.
Raining of the Frogs and
one of Tom Cruise's best performances. Like, I mean,
as the
dude before he like went off the rails, but it's like
Juliette Lewis. No. Redhead.
Julianne Moore.
Yes. Yeah. As the daughter to the dad. That's fuck.
Yeah.
That movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman. God damn, dude. That was
I remember
banger.
I had the double VHS of that.
Yep. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Like the big box.
I think I still do.
Man, that's a good show.
So Amy Mann opened, and then Amanda Shire.
Yeah.
Her she was the middle. Their band was the middle act, and then Isbell, and she came out for some songs, and it was. I cried like 3 times that night.
Man.
This is maybe like first or second summer after separation.
Uh-huh.
And like not knowing what, and then like, and also like I remember stopping my mower in my third listen of Southeastern, just being like, what the fuck is going on? Like I got to Google some stuff and figure out what this human has like been going through. And I mean that
was his like getting sober record.
That was
right around that time.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, so many. I don't remember what song Stockholm is. I know it's a big one, but there's the one about not leaving this room till the magnolias bloom. And the cigarettes and wine, I think, is on that record. Dude, it's really, really good record. But are you also a Sun Volt and an Uncle Tupelo guy, or?
I got. I've never seen Sun Volt. Like I'm like, and that's where got into Wilco, and then it's just a natural.
They've got like 8, 9, or 11 records, something crazy like that.
Yeah. I got into some Tupelo. Like that was, I remember I was rocking an Uncle Tupelo shirt for a while.
Nice.
Kennedy's for probably right around that era or whatnot, You
don't have it anymore?
It's somewhere. It's
okay.
It's at the parents' house. Waiting to get cleaned out.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
This Yankee is so eclectic and well put together, and still amazes me that they like, here you go, turn it in, and then they reject it and then cut him from the label.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? We just made a fucking banger record for you, and then they streamed it for free, like a week after September 11th, I believe. Man, your choices. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like Tall Buildings Shake, like with the cover. I mean, it's just like all like right around.
Yeah.
I mean, singing sad songs. I mean,
good stuff. Though.
Yeah.
Your choices really surprised me. In that, not to say that they're not accessible records, but the couple of times that I've gotten a playlist, it felt like the memory of listening to the playlist was like it was pretty widely accessible with a lot of kind of fun danceable tunes to it. Like I could have a party and put it on, and if somebody asked, I could either credit you or take the credit. But
I've tried to play this record at a party. Fuck you, I love Wilco.
We're gonna call an Uber.
No, I mean it's I mean like dense, like giving you more and more to unpack with everything, like each listen at a time, and then like
these records, not I mean your playlists.
No, my playlist is a whole different animal.
Okay.
Like that. I mean,
you tend to lean a little more crowd pleaser playlist, or is it just
there's like a percentage you can't just keep on playing, like
no.
Yeah, like I mean you can throw like Unvisible on there, but you got to be careful like not to throw on like a bunch of like Thelonious Monk or something, like it just doesn't fly, and you got to play songs that people like. If somebody doesn't hear, I don't know how many songs, like can you give somebody 4 songs if they don't hear something, 5 songs if they don't hear something that
here's a very real road that I've traveled down in my mind, like hosting that party, making this playlist, the time investment of which would like so glaringly dwarf the amount of time to actually put on the party, like buying groceries and making food and sending out invites, like all that would be a fraction compared to putting on the playlist. But if my sister were here, if Jessica were here, 3 songs, you'd be like, what's your Wi-Fi? Can I? And I'd be like, I'll stab you in the neck if you try and
I mean, I've had the opposite experience. I've been, playing, just random stuff on the back patio, doesn't really she has faith in the mix, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, there have been the occasional late evening where here or there, and everybody's just taking turns, or I want to. There's 2 in a row that I want to play, and she's kind of like making sure, no, I'm next, you know, kind of thing. And I'm mostly just teasing, but I have envisioned that very real possible scenario.
I know I've done that with a group of like Wilco fans, like where it's like, okay, we're gonna play like another song, like, and just go around like that, you know, like, or like, you know, you could do, you know, like throw like fish in there, you know,
sure.
You just like, you know, go around and just play your favorite songs or whatnot like that. And then like, I don't know, like building the playlist too. It's like even if there's like, if you find something in there, you know, like Tame Impala is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, especially their earlier stuff, you know, like Currents and stuff. It starts to get a little bit more accessible and everything. And their latest one is pretty accessible too. But like, yeah, like Inner Speakers is pretty. I mean, it's Australian psych rock. I mean, you gotta. I mean,
that's. I think I derailed a little bit. So the relationship with the Fish Studio. I mean, that's. You know, if you want to take, I don't know, heavy things, just for like, you know, the feel and the story and all the intricacies, and when they play heavy things live, you get all that compacted into like 3 minutes and 28 seconds. And then there's an 11-minute segment that follows where they're just exploring. And it's sort of like this, you know, a good stand-up comic has the ability to, as their hour goes on, reference earlier bits with clever little one-liners that crush.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that sonically and kind of returning to, and then you have a really big kind of climax where you really bring it back. That's what the live thing is all about. But it's a separate thing from my relationship with the studio songs. Those are the
like the blueprints.
They're the hours of work you put in it's like a relationship. I mean, I'm sure that you didn't like first date with Kelly like, let's watch wrestling and listen to this podcast and I'm gonna smoke a brisket.
Yeah,
like you put in a lot of time and work to
She's like, when are you gonna smoke me a brisket?
Anyway,
no, for sure. Yeah, you gotta work towards that.
There's this whole huge swath of people out there that have these opinions about their body of studio stuff, and just like, you should always, if you're gonna turn somebody on, go to the 8/17/96 where they're in Luxembourg. I'm like, how is that?
Gotta hear this tweezer replies.
How is that appealing to fucking somebody that's never listened to them before?
Like, give them like
because you're gonna
like Deer Creek a couple years.
38 minutes.
Are you gonna at the bar?
Are you gonna sit there and every 3 minutes go, listen to this part? No, this is the part, and that's annoying. What are you doing?
It's annoying to do. Yeah,
you got to that has to happen organically and on the person's own.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always say, if you really want to take a dive, fucking start with Rift.
Yeah.
Like it's or I mean Farmhouse or Billy Breeze. I mean, but man, okay. So I'm trying to make this a closer, if you will. So tomorrow, a magical fairy or a government assistant official hands you way more money than you'll need for the rest of your life, and your people will be taken care of. You don't have that stress anymore.
Yeah.
Where's your Zuatenejo? What are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? I've heard, some people say travel. One dude said, I'd probably really just surf in Mexico. Yeah. I mean,
RV and barbecue competitions, man. Take the lady out.
Amen.
Let's run some shit.
And by the way, both of those hobbies, RV and barbecue, like, have lots of time folded in to where you could listen to music.
Yeah.
And probably see some shows too. Like,
I mean, that's I'd always thought it'd be cool to like curate a music festival, like that type of stuff.
Joe Strobl Productions.
Yeah, bring back Spirit Fest, man. Let's do it. Let's put that out there. Liberty Memorial needs it.
Somebody start the hashtag, please. ASAP. Well, listen, man, this was super fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and this is very much kind of a one day at a time, 1 week at a time kind of thing, and little pockets of like do some episodes, and oh shit, I got to book some episodes and do some. So I envision getting to a point where there'll be some select guests that I'd like to ask to come do it again, and
I can give you 10 different. I mean, once you get to about here or so, you let me know, and then we'll do this all over again.
That would probably be right at double. Probably be right around 30 or somewhere around there. And
then I can give you some recommendations of friends and whatnot. That would
if you could do that,
yeah, for sure,
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong to white guys, but if you happen to know any non-white guys, girls, guys that don't look like you and I,
for sure.
Seriously though, especially now, like when you're living with your homies or in your 500 square foot, spot, and it's just you, like jetting out and dipping out to do this is a different animal than it is if you got a partner. Thank you very much for taking the time, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, indeed.
Right, thanks.